But now we are actually good to be jumping in. Michaela Tiku is currently putting her daughter to bed, so she will be a little bit before she actually joins us. And then my thing for you, Jasmine, those are freaking awesome. Thank you for drawing those. Those are sick. I think Kane would like to just use your picture. So
Terry's needs a little update.
Terry is
he
dead.
needs more body parts.
A little singed.
And
thank you for drawing the pictures. That's what that was. But with that, we're gonna jump into the session for tonight. So, last time, after dealing with the aftermath of what ended up being quite the fallout with Cytherin and the individuals that seem to rejoin, or for some of them even seemingly come back from the dead, you guys, after fairly close encounter in which even some did pass, even though they were able to find a way back to the material plane, you continued to venture towards Heffelburn. My train of thought, I had this all ready to go and then I just lost it when all the stuff went to shit. Advancing towards Heffelburn, you ended up encountering Kane, who had appeared to be a traveling nomad who seemed to have a suspicious amount of knowledge about all of you. That said, via information he was given, as well as a godly sense that Zephyr received, it seemed that it was at least okay to work with him for a time being. He was able to help guide you or first you split off from your wagon, sending the supplies that you had brought for Heffelburn to Heffelburn, and you yourselves split off to go find the shrine or potential temple entrance into this temple that Zephyr seems to be looking for. From there, after interacting with the actual shrine itself, you seem to have, either in response to you interacting with it or maybe caused by you interacting with it, some lightning elementals spawned. You guys had a bout with them as well, and during that bout, Zephyr seemed to lose himself to what is a fairly alien power to all of you.
Right. I lost myself.
Or he gained his true self.
Yes, or he truly found himself. But with that said, he was able to gain back control of himself, but not before, in we'll say an act of fury, he unfortunately ended Terrence's life. That said, you were able to stop the fight without having to actually kill Zephyr, and at that point, what appeared to be a very powerful mage, who you're pretty sure you're able to determine is the champion of Talos, showed up again, and he greeted Zephyr specifically, referring to him as a lost child, saying that he had finally found him. From there, he seemed to either cast a spell or harness the power of the storm to call down a massive lightning bolt that seemed to destroy the cliff face. In that moment, you all seemed to be okay. You didn't take any damage, no one fell unconscious, but you found yourself in a underwater temple of sorts. With a little bit of exploring and kind of interacting with it, you were able to determine that you, at least from what you guys believe, this seems to be almost like a fragment of the past, as these three separate temples seem to have, at least with the first one that you had gone to, which is the temple of Cyri, it seems that he was interacting with what appeared to be a version of Talos from times past. After hearing his conversation,
was it Talos or Talos' champion?
It was Talos. He was referred to as Malik.
That's what it was.
Malik was, from your knowledge, as you were one of the people who had rolled high enough, is effectively a extremely powerful wind sorcerer that was hailed as a god, but technically not ever.
Didn't he wipe out several towns?
He was effectively he'd be worshipped as a god in similar way to like tribes would worship tornadoes as an embodiment of a god.
Okay.
That's the kind of worship that he would have received, very fearful and revered. With that, you guys entered inside and quickly found yourself in what appeared to be some kind of ritual or trial chamber. There were pools with many different aspects to them. and each of you elected to elected to venture in to each different separate pool. So for this, we're going to be going to each of you kind of in turn as you guys progress through these events. So we're starting with you, Razu. For you, the last thing that you remember was Kane had just touched one of the portals, or one of the pools, sorry, and seemed to have vanished. In your your sense of trying to figure out if that was the correct answer or not, you also went to another pool, but weren't exactly able to find confirmation yourself. As soon as you had touched that pool, you immediately find yourself standing in a familiar open villa. There's a table that is currently adorned with many different foods, breads, meats. There seems to be a orange liquid. It is in a bowl, almost like a punch that has been served. There are both nobles and people of lesser wealth in this villa, as well as many different members of the royal family of Zupperkar. You see Dalaran speaking with his brother, as well as two more what appeared to be poorer individuals. You kind of look. You continue to look around. You see Zephyr. You see Segway. You see Gurgle, Cytherin, all seemingly interacting with different people. Cytherin as well as Tiku are currently sitting at a table with Mutilim having a conversation, and you realize you've actually been here before. This isn't something you just recognize. This is the dinner celebration, and you know something's about to go wrong. What do you do?
And I recognize this is specifically one where...
This was the assassination attempt, where
Like,
both twins were killed. Dalaran was killed, although Dalaran and one of the twins were able to be brought back to life.
And Talia
This was
died.
the assassination hit on the High Princes of Zoprakar.
Segway was killed there too.
Segway also dies in this battle. Largely due to your own actions.
I approach Dalaran.
As you approach Dalaran, he just kind of looks over at him and just, Razu! I'm glad you were able to make it. This is it's a little bit of a mixed bag of individuals. As he gestures to the person in front of him, you recognize this villager. This is the villager that within a few minutes is the one who plunges a knife through his throat. He says, I was even able to bring some of my friends. I think I told you before, but the separation between nobles and the common folk is too severe. How are you enjoying the celebration?
We must have a word. Now.
And he just kind of like looks to the individuals and he just smiles and nods, and he turns to you, and as soon as he turns to you, the individual in front of him with the knife, again, just through the side of his neck, just, and in that moment, Dallin just and seems to stop. Rather than before where the knife had been plunged to his neck and he fell to the ground, seemingly immediately dead to the first hit, it's almost as if time has stopped. In a moment, it jumps forward. You're now in the throes of combat. The wizard is in a similar same place as before, up on the ledge. You see Segway, who's just moved forward. There's an individual in front of him, and there's an individual about 2 paces behind him, kind of separated off from the rest of the individuals. You are, at this point, you'd be about 15 feet away from Segway. What do you choose to do?
I run over and flank the guy that Segway was with. This was the moment that...
This is where previously you had elected to basically retreat as you were fairly low yourself, and on the next turn, Segway dies.
How does the defend action work?
You literally take an action, so it's technically the help action.
Well,
What
help
does it
action
do?
or dodge.
Any attacks
It would cause them. It would cause
would
someone.
hit you instead.
It would cause them to attack Segway with disadvantage, and if they miss Segway, then they would hit you.
Even they couldn't miss us both?
No, it's like they just go against his armor class, and
With
if they miss
disadvantage?
him, then they would attempt to hit you, and then that would technically go against your armor class. What do you want to do?
I would move forward and try to flank the person that killed him and just do 2 swings, I guess.
Okay. As you move up behind Segway, kind of like almost like back to back, preparing for what would be the assassin to flank around in front of you, you hear a voice in your head. This is an unfamiliar voice to you. Definitely a bit newer. As you hear sometimes sacrifices are necessary. Was your choice a mistake? At this point, Segway actually seems to almost. It very much so looks almost like supernatural and artificial. Is the individuals in front of you and the individuals in front of Segway have all, at this point, you realize are actually not moving. This is not a chain of sequences. This is almost like you're in a freeze frame. As Segway kind of turns around to you, at this point, your concept here is going to be you are a necessary step to his power, effectively letting you die. So with that, Segway turns around. What do you say?
Razu, I have an idea. As I bring my hand up with a spell ready to cast on you.
This isn't natural.
If it's does the dot action work on spells? Like
what work on spells,
if
sorry?
he casted fireball, would the dodge action do anything?
If
It
you're
would give
letting
you
him cast a
advantage.
spell, you're just choosing to let him cast a spell.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm casting.
I would hold my action to, I don't know, perhaps move out of the way if he uses some kind of combat spell and hopefully give me advantage on a check or some shit. I don't know what that would entail.
So you are going to resist the spell that he's doing, is what that is.
I don't trust it enough.
Okay, so he's
you don't
resisting.
trust Segway?
I don't trust what I don't know is segue.
He's resisting the spell. What are you casting?
I'm casting magic weapon.
Is there even a save, or is it a willing creature?
It's an object I touch.
So he's just trying to cast it on his weapon.
So are you attempting to use it on his blade then?
Yep.
Give me a sec. Pulling up the spell real quick.
Would you say Razu is aware that this isn't? I know that I went into the
Just
pool.
however
This
you
could
take
be a
advantage.
figment of my imagination.
However,
You know that you were in a pool, and now you seem to be in a situation. You seem to be at the party where 3 high princes were assassinated.
it's not about how Razu would take it. It's about how Nate interprets Razu taking it.
I look at Dalaran. Is it inside of his neck or is it in his chest?
At this point, Dalaran would at this intervals, Dalaran would be effectively bleeding out on the floor. Definitely
From his
dead,
neck or
but
from
still
his
bleeding
chest?
from his neck.
Is he even part of the scene, though?
You can see it, but it's almost as if think you're like in if you've ever seen ghostly silhouettes. The closer you are to yourself, the better you can make out who you're looking at. Although something that you do find a little bit interesting for the assassins here, the ones whose faces you didn't see that were covered, seem blurred. You can't actually face them. The only people that you can focus on and actually tell who they are people whose faces you've actually seen. With that, the spell that he would have casted would have just been touching your blade. And at this point, your blade would start to glow, a green hue.
Lightning Daddy?
Does Segway say anything? My blade starts growing green and then...
It's got a light,
Yep.
light green hue to it.
Light green hue to it, and it looks sharper, sturdier, lighter.
Okay.
I hit the guy that is about to kill him, I guess?
Okay. As soon as you turn around to swing at him, you realize now you do recognize this individual. The individual who moved up to kill Segway from before, you'd never seen his face, but now you're met with what is only recently familiar to you, young male. Looks to be in about his like early 20s. Got a bit of a pluff of hair. As now looking at who you guys saw as Syria, kind of like seems confused as he looks at you as you draw your weapon. He goes, "Well, now, you weren't the one who was supposed to be here. And this isn't your pool. Or his pool, I should say. How did you find yourself here?"
A door called to me.
Interesting. I thought my power would have long since waned, assuming that he does pass. Well, it's no matter to me. I know what my job is. And he kind of like looks past you, kind of like looking to Segway. He says, "It seems you desire power, yes?"
What do you know?
That you desire power. Am I wrong?
Why am I here? What is the test?
You're quite the untrusting one. Whoever said there was a test here? You desired power, and I can give it to you.
You said it was a test.
I don't recall that. I've never met you before in my life.
Indeed.
So do you desire power or not?
Who doesn't?
What are you willing to get it? What are you willing to do to get it? Apologies.
Who knows? Don't quite know myself.
You seem lost, child. It's no matter. You can still take the test. He looks towards Segway behind you and he says, "You're on the proper path, but well, let's just say I'd like you to show me what you're willing to do for it." At this point, the individual turns back into the assassin, who, kind of blade drawn, was going to swing at Segway. You're now standing in the way. In addition to that, you now notice that you can see Zephyr. He's about 5 squares away from you. You can see Segway. You can see most of the members of your party. Tiku at this point would not be present. And you can almost feel a familiar hunger in your blade. At this point, Segway, and this is actually you as Segway, get the sense you understand what this individual meant. If Razu truly wants that power, and he's willing to kill you, and he's willing to kill Zephyr for it, he can get it. But what does he do?
Razu. Just hold my hands out, exposing my chest. Use me and spare Zephyr.
Seems you're already dead.
What do you do?
Back end of the scythe across the head.
Are you trying to do blunt damage, or are you trying to kill him? Or non-lethal, sorry. What are you doing?
Is the assassin still there? Did he just disappear?
The assassin is, again, seems frozen in time. It's like you're stuck in a moment that for some reason Segway can move in.
It's
What
'cause
say you,
I'm
Zephyr?
already slow.
You say Zephyr was also there and he's 5 feet away? Is Zephyr moving?
As you look to Zephyr, Zephyr is also frozen, but his back is very exposed.
What does this accomplish me? Sorry.
You do not get a response. Again, you almost get overwhelmed with the feeling, though, that the power you want, you can get it, as long as you're willing to sacrifice things.
And I currently feel that it's Zephyr or Segway.
What are you willing to sacrifice?
You said, did you not say that one of them had to be?
he said, show me what you're willing to do. And then you got the sense that by killing Zephyr or Segway, you would gain power. Now that you think about it, though, probably gain more if you kill both.
Is that hunger coming from my weapon?
As you start to think about it and focus on it, make a religion check.
Is my weapon titanium?
Make a religion check. Why'd you roll twice?
Because there's a bunch of dice and it landed on another dice.
Ah, cocked. Cool.
15.
15. Your weapon does not seem to have the same, even unfamiliar sentience that it currently has. This is a previous version of it. The hunger is definitely coming from you.
Is my weapon
From
even
your
partially
heart.
titanium?
As you look at the weapon, it seems to be your old blade, but as soon as you focus on it, it seems to turn into your current one.
Am I wearing the armor without the engraving on it?
As you look at yourself, you were wearing the previous armor that had haunted you, but as soon as you focus on it, you are now donning your current armor.
Strange. Very strange.
I slit his throat. Segways.
Okay. As his arms kind of held open, is there anything you want to say? As you slit his throat, he immediately, as the blood starts to pour from it, you realize it's not blood, it's water. As the water seems to pour for a moment, Segway freezes in time. And you realize in this moment, as you kind of like look around, again, all your party members are here. And you do get the sense that you're more powerful. But again, you could still gain more power. This moment, as you kind of like look, you see Sairi currently seemingly leaning on the frozen Zephyr. He says, again, we simply must know what you're willing to do. Show me. And then he...
I see no reason to change the past.
Does the scenery change?
As you verbalize it, it doesn't seem to. But you do get the sense that whatever choice you make may not affect immediately. It's more of a decision on what you're willing to do for it. As you start to think a little bit more about, okay, if I choose not to kill anyone else, if I'm not willing to sacrifice like my current party or my friends, what would happen? You get the sense of strength, but not the true strength that you were thinking of.
Can
But
I,
again, you could have it.
Do I get the same feeling of obtaining strength from killing anyone besides party members?
You do not. And the idea here is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Killing random people isn't a sacrifice. Especially not for you.
Razu, don't give in. Power of friendship.
What would Segway do?
Talk us off a cliff.
How many friends have you killed?
If you want some time to think about it, I can move to somebody else and we can come back to you.
We'll do that.
Okay. As Razu is standing effectively in that village, villa field, you are coming to terms with what it is you're willing to do for the power that you seek. So with this, we're actually going to jump to Gurgle next. For you saw Razu. You saw Kane both go through their own individual pools, but there's something that you had to know. So you found your way to the pool of snakes, the snakes that whispered to those inside. as soon as you, in your case, because you frog dived into it, as you frog dive into it, you immediately find yourself in a familiar, again, but almost alien place. You're currently on you're in marshland. The trees more overall looking very almost like willowed, looks very damp, very swamp-like. As you look over, you see your cabin, and you immediately realize and you get the sense that you're in that cabin. You're currently reading with Rocco. And as you kind of turn around, you somehow impossibly are able to see into the forest, the Dryson Woods. And you can see Tad and 3 other individuals who are currently coming back from their day's work, heading towards your home. And then in this moment, as you kind of look to the right, you see 2 separate individuals standing there. One of which is the Yuan-Ti, who you saw specifically, the one that was that would have been eating your mother when you come out of that cabin. And then the other is a humanoid fire elemental. The arms look a little bit off, though. It's not no kind of ligaments on it. It's more of just kind of balls that kind of jut down, and the legs are kind of mended together. But the torso, the head, gives you the idea of humanoid features. The way the fire burns, it almost looks like hair. The snake-like individual, that seems to be currently holding a stone. You've seen this stone too. This is the stone that Roku actually pressed into you. Or, no, sorry, that he had you consume. So he kind of seems to be looking at the stone. He kind of holds his hand up and points towards your home. And he seems to start to issue out an order in a language you don't understand. But in that moment, he seems to stop. In a similar fashion to him, it seems to freeze. The outer edges of this enclosure again blur in that same kind of almost that same kind of ghastly nature. The trees become more of just a fogged image of them. You can only really see the area around you as the fire elemental seems to turn to you. You seek secrets that I have. He kind of looks towards the core that the Yuan-Ti is currently holding. He says, "What is it you want to know?"
Where's Roker?
He looks. The elemental looks towards your home for a moment, seemingly also knowing that he's there, but then it almost seems to have a moment of realization. And then it stops and it turns back towards you and he says, "Where you are, trapped."
But I'm not trapped.
No. But your secret carries a price. As he looks back towards it, almost seemingly in response to you, not in response to the Yuan-Ti's order, it turns and it shoots a blast of fire off to your house and hits. That first impact being what startled you as a child. And the house slowly starts to burn and then again stops. At this point, Tad is now on the outer edge of this open enclosed area, or this open and closed, of this more so opened area. And while he's still sprinting in, still appears ghastly in nature. The fire elemental turns towards Tad and again holds out his hand and says, "What if you could have them?" Kind of looks to the house and to Tad. Are they worth your secrets?
Not sure what this is or what you're asking.
It looks towards you, and then you get the sense that the fire elemental seems to smile. But in that moment, the fire elemental freezes. And now you also see Sairi, who seems to walk out of your house. The door's shut. It's almost like he phases through the door. He kind of like looks about. He says, well, this isn't a normal room at all. And you're not someone I was expecting. He just, at a leisurely pace, kind of strolls over to you and he says, huh.
What is this place?
Well, this is a trial. It seems that you seek knowledge, but I'm going to be totally honest, this is not one of my making. You have an outside entity, one that rivals myself in power. It's influencing my domain. Interesting. Well, this is going to be a little bit of a... It's a little bit off from what I normally do in this particular version. But as I am not in my domain, I simply must ask. What is it you're looking to know? What secrets do you seek?
My family was attacked. I need to know where my grandfather ended up. And I need to know where the creature responsible for the murder of my family is.
He looks he looks towards the house, and somehow you understand that he seems to be looking in the house towards Roko. And then he looks to the Yuan Ti, who you're currently standing next to. He says, I see what it is here. Wonderful. Well, your trial is a little bit different in nature, but you simply need to tell me which is more important. Do you want, and he gestures to the Yuan Ti in front of him, and he says, do you want your revenge? Because I can teach you how to get it. Or perhaps you value, and he gestures towards the house, he says, perhaps you value bonds higher. Not just that of your grandfather, but those of your friends. What matters more?
The inner part of me wants to say that I need to hunt down this beast that attacked my family. But my father taught me revenge is like a two-headed snake. While you bite and you get the meal that you're searching for, at the same time you're being bitten by the very thing that's giving you satisfaction. So I would choose my bonds.
He seems to get a kind smile that goes across his face. But before he has a chance to respond, the elemental that you're next to, that fire elemental, seems to almost like start to move, but it looks unnatural. Like it's struggling against something that's keeping it in place. You immediately feel your chest start to burn in a painful manner. This is not the friendly heat that you felt, that warmth that you felt in the Ironheart Forge. This is pain and rage. You get the sense that if you do that, it would actually likely have opposition. Maybe, perhaps you'd even have to give up on your revenge in order to achieve that. And after you as you start to realize this, and the pain slightly starts to subside, and Zaira's kind of soft smile, and he says, do you still feel that way?
This creature inside me has been warped. And I promised Magnamemnar that I would find a way to restore it. no matter how much this fire wants me to take revenge, and no matter how much my heart dictates that it desires it, the truth is it'd be a far worse betrayal to my father to pursue this knowing that I gave up all of my family and friends that I have remaining for it.
His soft smile goes into more of like a bright one. Legitimately almost seems happy. He says, wonderful. Well, while this is not my realm, I can say that I'd be happy to have you. I can't currently give that blessing myself anymore, but I can pass along a blessing. Also, there are some rewards that can be given. And I can tell you, where your grandfather is sealed, trapped, it's closer than you think. You'll want to find information on the Obsidian Heart. Where you can find that, I'm not sure in the modern world, but he is trapped within the Obsidian Heart. Think of it as a, not too unlike this, a small pocket dimension. It's almost as if it's a sectioned off portion of the fire plane. Just know that, again, there is a decent chance that this information comes at a cost. And I hope we won't regret that later. As he finishes that, the scene seems to completely change. You find yourself, again, in this... you again find yourself effectively floating in water. You are now back in the temple. However, you're in a little bit of a different room. The room that you're in is more of like, it almost looks like a meeting hall in a castle. There's the pillars leading to outside are again in of like they look to be almost like a gazebo, and it's just kind of open to the outside, similar to like the Roman temples. But looking in front of you, there's a kind of like a middle larger carpet that is maybe about 30 feet long that goes up to a single set of 3 stairs. Up the set of 3 stairs, you see what appears to be a just large stone cloud. Looks masterfully crafted, but carved out of rock itself. And you can see Malik currently kneeling on one knee to that cloud, and you can see Saori currently sitting atop that cloud. With that, we're gonna stop there. Do you know what your answer is, or should I go somewhere else? Okay. As you have taken now a few minutes to think and come to terms with what it is you are willing to give up, what do you like to do?
I like to imagine that I was sitting down and I get up with a grimace on my face. And I slaughter everyone.
Okay.
And not just painless deaths. I dice them.
The women and children too?
Well, specifically the things that would be my sacrifice.
He just went Anakin.
They were children, or they were animals, so I slaughtered them like animals.
As you commence effectively your slaughter, you very much so get the sense of power. You get the sense that the goal that you have in mind is actually reachable. You know you can. As effectively as you finish this, and what was actually originally was already a gruesome sight at the assassination attempts of the High Princes now looks to be the site of effectively a massacre. You see Cyril, who's he seems to be, as like almost as soon as you finish, you notice Cyril seems to be standing amongst many of the dead, and he kind of is looking around, and you can very much so see almost like a distraught look on his face as he kind of looks to his right and his left. He says, "It's a respectable answer, but not one I can support. That said, you're just knocking over everything. That said, based on this, it seems there's someone who wants to see you before you leave. I can't say I'm a fan of his, so I'm sending you to him. Almost like shooing you away. Seems to wave his hand off to you.
I would try to say something before. I would, assuming the deed is done, swing my blade and basically slash the blood off my blade.
Okay.
With the power that I will get, death like this will be meaningless.
As I walk to the door.
So there's the door again. You're in the middle of an open villa. He does let you respond, and in response to that, he kind of waves his hand away. And as soon as he waves his hand away, you find yourself in a new area. Not the one same as Gurgle, though. The area you find yourself in it's still a little bit off-putting to you as you look off to the right and left, and it's just pitch black. It seems to just go on forever in each direction. Kind of confused as you take your first step, you hear as you look down and you stepped across bones. Currently standing amidst a field of bones to where blood actually seems to seep in between the bones. You hear yes, well, he might not like it, but I love that answer. As you immediately kind of find yourself looking forward into this darkness, and you see a silhouette, seems almost like step out. This would be effectively a gargantuan in size. Seems to be towering at like around 30 feet tall. Has 4 separate arms, but the build of a giant. His face is off from what you would typically see in like a Goliath, for example, as his upper lip seems pulled into a artificial smile, almost like the Joker, but not cut. Instead, it's almost like grown that way. His bottom lip currently open to where he could never actually quite, like, it'd be impossible for him to seal off his teeth. Large fangs kind of protrude past, going down to the lower portion of his jaw. 2 larger horns that kind of come off and then curve back up forward. Currently, it seems to actually just be wearing a loincloth, has red skin, and it actually has a little bit of a belly, which at a first glance, almost like he's a little bit fat, and then you realize it's much more of like a strong man, to where he's just got enough muscle that it almost makes him seem obese. As he kind of like as he takes another step forward, you see each different hand is wielding a weapon, and you actually recognize a couple of these weapons. A giant cutlass, one of them wearing a brass knuckles glove, another one holding a bow, another wielding what appears to be a quarterstaff. Kogal had these weapons on his back. He was wearing the knuckles, but everything else he seemed to almost adorn himself with. In that moment, you almost supernaturally and incredibly fast realize who this individual is. This is at least what appears to be a visage or a form of Bane, as he kind of steps forward and says, "Now, if you're willing to sacrifice all of that for power, there is one more question that I would ask you." At this point, he seems to almost like lean down, and his hand hits the bones on the ground and seems to just break through and seems to grasp something, and then pulls up a familiar individual to you. This individual is wearing a finer purple robe, although it's a little bit cut. His hands are currently bound, currently clasped in front of him. There seems to be a purple liquid that's kind of leaking from his mouth. You're able to quickly determine this is alcohol. Seems to be wearing a crown of flowers, and he actually does have a little bit of a gut. While this is not the individual you met, you do recognize the visage of a god that you at least said you dedicated yourself to. As he, with his hand kind of grasped, he just throws the individual. As soon as the individual hits in front of you, it kind of slides, breaking some of the skulls. You notice this individual is also, for what, he's also large. He's probably about an 11-foot individual. He, on the ground, kind of like looks up at you. And Bane says, You showed him. Now, show me. As again, you this time you actually feel your weapon pulse. Seems to go through the rest of you as well.
Razu's... I like to think that, like when Squawk was talking and my eyes turned white, the blood seeps into my eyes and my eyes turn red. And my grimace turns to a small smirk.
With the power I will get again, death is meaningless.
I ignite my weapon and cut him in half. Or my best attempt.
Okay. As you cut this individual, whether it's real or not, and you're not able to really determine yourself, you again get this sense of self and this sense of power that you've never really felt. As you do that as well, this individual who you assume to be some version of Bane again just starts to laugh. The laugh seemingly echoing, almost like bouncing off of walls that you can't see. As Wonderful. Well, I will tell you, one blessing's gone, but consider yourself blessed in much more benevolent ways. I will send someone for you soon. And in a moment, you kind of like blink. The sense of self seems to almost like vanish and diminish, although a new sense of purpose seems to stay. As you now find yourself standing next to a Gurgle, again in this seemingly underwater open space, able to see outside, still seeing those fish, different life of the sea, as well as blacker silhouettes further out in the distance. As yes, you are now also sitting next to Gurgle. You see that same thing with Malik currently kneeling to a cloud that Syra is laying across.
Got him like a fish.
I mean, before you would say anything, you would probably look at me, and I'd look at you. I would be drenched in blood, and as the fire douses from my weapon, I put it on my back. My eyes turn from what was red.
I mean,
Blood red,
It was
too.
a vision. I don't think you'd actually...
You wouldn't be drenched in blood, but I would say that you would see that his blade is ignited.
My blade is ignited.
And you still need to take damage from actually
was
riding
gonna
your
do that.
weapons. His blade is ignited, and like the cut across like the upper forearm that he would have applied in order to actually ignite his weapons would still be there.
Would you be... Is the red eye thing that I'm saying?
Your eyes would... His eyes would still... It's almost like a severe case of bloodshot. Gurgle didn't... You actually experienced this a little bit when you encountered Squawk in the room. I don't remember what I called those. In the hut, sorry. When you encountered Squawk in that hut and his eyes were white, it's almost more of like just dozens and dozens of veins that seem to be more so highlighted white. It's like an extremely bloodshot version of the eyes. His are like that right now, but red instead of white. Almost like a perverted version of Squawk when you saw him.
And then, as I look
Are
at
you about
him,
shit crazy? Do I
I would like
blue
to
first?
make an unintentional intimidation check. As looking at Gurgle, phasing through a different reality where I killed Gurgle, with the thought of basically murder crossing my mind.
I mean, you could roll I'd say you could roll an intimidation check for it. I know how to do this. This would go against your passive insight.
Pretty high. Good luck.
Your passive insight?
10 plus your modifier.
16.
16. You are not intimidated by him, but you're immediately apprehensive as you very much so get the sense that even though it seems to fade after a moment, it is very much so the sense of bloodlust. It is when you see someone ready to kill, who has steeled themselves to kill as well, as kind of like looking at you, even adding onto that, as he appears next to you and you kind of like look over at him, when he looks at you, his weapon currently drawn, he like almost flips it, catches it with his other hand, taking an offensive stance, and then he seems to regain himself.
Is this the real frog?
I slap his face. Yo, I don't know what you saw in there. Back to the land of the living.
So, where are we now? The next test?
And on that moment, you're actually going to hold your thought, because other people will be likely joining, depending on the results here. I'm actually going to go to you next, as you've been waiting longer than Kayla. Tree's just screwed. Okay, for you. You were the first to actually go through and actually interact with one of these pools. So no one had actually disappeared other than yourself. You feeling confident in yourself is, again, the closed door was that you didn't really feel you needed to change. You feel you are a true reflection of yourself.
That was definitely my thought process behind choosing the closed door.
It is what it is. It's the door you picked. That's the sense. Okay, that's the sense you got when you picked the door. How's that? You immediately find yourself at the base of a mountain. The weather where you're at right now, it's dark. It's extremely overcast, not raining. But as you look up towards the peak, you can see lightning actually shooting through the sky. But weirdly, you can't hear thunder. You can simply see what is this odd landscape. And kind of like looking around, you look behind you, and you see nothing but effectively smaller animals seem to be crawling about. Looking up this mountain, you realize you're not entirely sure where this is, but you've been here before. You met someone here before. Specifically, this is where you would have met the dragon. Real quick, before I go to the next part, what's up? I'm crashing again. There's in the fridge. If you want a cold one there to the side, or sorry, if you want a non-cold one to the side, you want a cold one there in the fridge.
Just to remind you, I met him as a child. Just how
with that being the case, as you kind of like look down, you look at yourself. We'll say almost remembering that you were a child last time you were here. You're not a child. You are very much so an adult. You are very much so the individual that you are now. You have the memories of growing in power and struggle. You have memories of these recent companions, I'd say loosely, that you've met. And you very much so know that you were in the temple. As you kind of like look towards the mountain, you see part of the stone actually seems to break off as what is a large dragon head seems to break out and look over, and looks down towards you.
Orlevel?
Yes.
I will immediately drop to a knee and bow.
As Orlevel kind of like looks about, he seems confused, and then he looks down to you and he goes, "Ah, you found it."
I did. Is there anything specific you would like me to uncover?
Yes. You've even picked the right one. Did he follow you? This dragon kind of like looks about.
Do I know the he's talking about?
As you kind of like start to look around as well, trying to determine who the he might be, as you turn around and look to your left, you realize Saudari is standing next to you. You didn't see him before, but now he seems to be visible. And as he looks at you and he smiles and he says, "Unfortunate. I wanted to see how it was going to play out first." As he looks up towards the dragon. The dragon, again, only its head actually being broken through the mountain, looking about.
At this point, I will stand and I will have my bow staff in a casual manner, just slung around the arm.
Okay. As you stand, and Sauri kind of like as you stand, he steps back and takes what effectively would be a non-confrontational posture. As he kind of steps back and he shows his hands as to almost show that I couldn't take action. He says, "No worries, no worries. I can't say I expected you, but I guess this is par for the course. I'm surprised that you, Orlevel, would like to get involved with this." As Orlevel looks towards you and he says, "Don't tell him much. He is still here, albeit a shade of his former self."
Doesn't have to do with the thing I'm here to discover.
Yes. At this point, Cyriel seems to smile and he kind of brings his hand up to his chin. He says, "Oh, We're looking for something. Oh, I'm very good. I'm very good at finding things. Maybe I could help. And he seems to be like half talking to you and half talking to Orlevel. Orlevel kind of like almost looks to him and seems to almost like squint the serpentile slit in his eye, almost going from a little bit of a wide to it's like a very close slit. Very much so, almost like a quizzical look from a dragon. This is, we wish to know why gods still live, but I doubt you know that, as you... Cyril interrupts him at this point and says, yes, I have noticed, as he seems to look down at his hands. He says, I'm not around anymore, am I? This is all just a part of me. Orlevel seems to smile and he says, yes, and I want to know how. You have no trial here. This is of self, and you've already proven your worth to me, so I do not wish to test you. He looks towards Cyril, and Cyril goes, boring. Now, it's not my domain here, unfortunately, so I suppose I'll have to leave him to it. I suppose I might be seeing you again soon, then. And Cyril seems to disappear. And again, Orlevel is, well, now that the nuisance is gone, and I believe he is at least gone from this realm.
So, he still lives?
Everything still lives. We all are part of the weave, in one sense. But no, he is long since dead. You've simply you are interacting with fragments of his power. My guess is there was something he wished to show you, or perhaps the individuals I sent you to meet. It is...
Were you aware that Malek or Talos was his champion?
He smiles and he says, I'm aware of many things, and that was one, yes. I am aware that Talos took his station and that of others. I want to know how he killed them. And therein lies your job.
Of course.
Well, good luck. Again, he kind of smiles, and at this point, the dragon actually breathes, and
I just real quick want to say, it is a pleasure, as always, to see you, Orlevel.
Yeah, so that actually works really well. As you do that, he smiles, and then using his breath just all down the side of the mountain, just and effectively just covers you in what is a
I will take like a half bow into the flames.
Okay. As you bow into this golden flame, you now also find yourself in effectively the temple waiting room or entry hall.
My passive insight is 19, so I assume I would not be intimidated.
I'm going to say it's a combination of two things. So as you reappear, you kind of appear at the moment that Gurgle is slapping his face, and as that happens, you look at Gurgle, and with your insight, I would say that you not only are not intimidated by his form, as he kind of comes back to himself, you're actually able to read into that something was actually affecting him as well, like strong emotion, or maybe an outside force. Basically, this is to say, whatever is affecting him seems to have faded away, but there was a strong presence of extreme emotion or extreme magical influence, something like that. You're just able to tell that there was something there, and now it's gone.
Is he all right now, Gurgle?
I'm fine.
He's got a little bit of cokiness in him.
Well, he was... I assume the trial that he took taxed him greatly.
Seemed there was more than one right answer.
I assume there wasn't a right answer. It was just whatever your answer was.
Which means if you weren't true to yourself, you'd be wrong.
Why would you enter a god's temple without being true to yourself?
And on that note, I'll let you say one thing before we go.
I was in character.
Oh, at that point, Gurgle raises his hand. That's what we're going to pause for a second. That's where these two likely will be joining. Okay. For Tiku and Zephyr. So Zephyr, you were actually the first one wait. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
You touched first, and then Tiku shortly after elected to touch it as well. Or do I have it backwards?
I think you have it backwards. I'm pretty sure Zephyr was last. I made a point to go last.
Okay. That lines up. I apologize, missed him up. So it'd be a little bit that does actually matter. For Tiku, you find yourself in a forest. You immediately have a delicious smell fill your nostrils. You're in a moment, you're just like, wait, that might be as good as mine. As you kind of look back and you see many of your friends currently all sitting around a pot, a couple of them actually seemingly dancing. There actually is even a little bit of music that is currently playing. You see all your friends extremely happy currently. You actually remember this. This is one of the festivals. You guys were preparing a meal to give to the dragon. This is effectively the offering ceremony. This would have been conducted effectively once a month for your tribe, and it is very much so a celebration. It was always a happy time. There would be effectively memories of times of poor offerings that had resulted in negative celebrations, but in recent history, all offerings have been extremely well received. Dragon seems to be very happy. The peace and effectively prosperity of your tribe has been going extremely strong. In this moment, as you almost like immediately find yourself almost like joined into the celebration, starting to help to cook. At this moment, Zephyr would actually appear in this forest with you. You would now also see this scene, and almost seemingly in response to you appearing, all the kobolds seem to almost like freeze and stop. In a similar fashion, the outer edges of this area become more ghastly and almost like fade, like you're very much so, I guess, giving you the sense that you are in some kind of a vision. A little bit more foreign concept to you, but something that wouldn't be too different for you.
Tiku's gonna get behind Zephyr and be like, Tiku doesn't know magic shit. Zephyr goes first.
Well, where am I supposed to go?
As you look about and ask that, you find yourself looking towards the larger pot, and you can see Sayuri, who seems to have taken the large spoon and has pulled up almost like a ladle full of it, and she's delicious. You guys are very good at what you do. Although it's a bit surprising to have you here. It's not common that two people take a trial simultaneously. Oh, perhaps you can help each other. It seems that you regret something. As he looks about, you hear the roar of a dragon off in the distance. Just seems silent but mournful. You recognize that. That was the last time you ever heard the dragon. It seems it disappeared after that.
That was not good.
Why is that?
Dragon leaves after that noise. Then the humans come.
And
The raiders.
what do they do?
Kill the kobolds. Steal our food.
Almost seemingly in response to that, the festival turns into effectively the site of a raid. You see trees are now burning off to
Tiku told you!
the sides.
Tiku told you!
The larger pot is spilled over, the food stained into the dirt. There are multiple kobolds
I forgot
currently.
about the food.
Multiple kobolds currently laying almost like strewn across the ground, effectively brutally mutilated by what appears to be different human raiders. Again, in a similar facet, neither of you can actually put faces to each of these individuals. As you look at these seemingly raiding humans, their faces all seem almost faded. You can't really make out any kind of a detail. But for the kobolds that you have seen, you can recognize the faces. In this moment, as you kind of like realize this was when you guys decided that you needed to find either a new place to stay or a new source of protection. You now, again, the scene seems to change, and it's almost as if you're pulled to a new area. You see yourself along with 9 other individuals who are currently all kind of in high spirits. You all have different amounts of equipment on. You see yourself with your pack that you had left out for just before you were recruited to the games. There is a sense of hope that you feel on going to the games.
Oh, this is Tiko's calling. It's a good day. Well, not this day, but other days leading to this day.
So, Tiku, how many of your kin died during the raiders?
Tiko's still not very good with numbers. A lot.
How do you feel about that?
Sad.
As you answer that and you say sad, you find yourself not actually in the games, as it almost seemed like you were going in sequence through stories. You instead find yourself in what appears to be a larger plane. There's a giant rock that kind of protrudes, almost kind of resembling Pride Rock in its design, to a much grander scale, being like a couple miles long. It's just like almost like a jut of rock that shoots out over the horizon, with the peak of it almost like having a cliff face, effectively, that would be a multiple mile drop. It's effectively almost like you'd be falling off the side of a mountain.
Whoa.
You realize you've never been here. Neither of you, actually. This scene will be entirely new to you. But as you look over, you see there's a road. A caravan that currently seems ransacked. The caravan is... The actual wagon itself seems knocked on the side. There's a horse lying dead. A few different dead humans. And then 2 of your closest kobold friends. 2 of the 10 that had elected to leave with you. To venture out.
Oh, that's Hikaru and Tegs.
One of them seems to be almost like standing guard. Still, so he's currently effectively be sitting down. His leg seems broken and splinted. Yeah, splinted. The other is currently lying dead a few feet behind him, with a human dead next to him as well. He seems to be pointing his sword towards, as you look over, appears to be 2 separate individuals. One of which it has that same almost like blurred out face, except for you can recognize the mask. And you realize you've seen the mask before. The mouth is currently sealed, but instead of in place of where the mouth would be is a single teardrop, almost a little bit off to the right side. There's sockets for the eyes, but other than that, it is effectively flat. And worth noting is it almost seems sealed to their face on the side. It's not like he's wearing it, but almost like this is its face. And as that mask kind of turns, you see the teardrop almost seems to turn into a line and like kind of like a little bit sideways on it, and then opens up and seems to have teeth.
Tiko's gonna pull out her blade and go in front of Hikaru.
As you pull out your blade and stand in front of it, whatever this individual, this creature is, seems to stop in place, similar to everyone else, where they seem to have frozen. You're kind of confused for a moment. Sairi steps out from behind him, almost like he was hiding behind the individual, and he goes, "Things have gotten most interesting since I was involved here, but I'm not sure that's quite the right word. It's wrong. I don't know why it's wrong, though. It doesn't matter. The idea here is the test. It seems that you are regretful. A mission not yet completed, maybe? What are you looking to do, my little dragonoid friend?"
Find protection for kobolds.
Protection from ones like him, as he gestures to this individual. Despite, again, the fact that you have never been in this scene, you almost get the sense that this individual is to blame. You don't know why, but you suddenly almost like feel like a weld up of he's the one that caused it. To the point you can't even really break it down to like, wait, what did he cause? No, he caused it all. He's the reason. You very much so get this sense.
Protection from people like him.
Sairi looks towards him and he kind of nods and he says, "Yes, protection from ones like him is quite valuable. But it seems you regret you haven't been able to do it. what's your plan? What are you willing to do? What do you want to do? How are you going to get this protection?
Tico doesn't know. Asking Zephyr. He knows gods.
Well, it seems you have been granted a right to help in her test. What are your thoughts? What can this little kobold do to gain protection?
Tico's god Tico thinks that Zephyr's god is not the best god though. He is getting his own attack. He gets attacked. And also, he makes food taste terrible.
He actually does chuckle at that.
I do believe that you can find strength in a patron. That is true. But if your patron isn't enough, your only choice is to improve oneself. Protect the ones that you care for.
There's so many. Tico can't protect them all by Tico's self. Maybe get allies.
Whoops. He seems like he's waiting for an answer. He says,
Do gods protect tribes of kobolds?
not themselves. It would typically be by a proxy. Like your friend, from what I can tell, he has received at least in a semblance of a blessing.
I do. All those guys don't care about Tiku's family.
Well, let me ask you a question then. How much do you care about the means of what you look to do? Perhaps you just want protection? Is that it?
Tiku is a little lost when you said all those words together, but protection is good, yeah. Yeah, last word is good.
He actually seems almost like to consider for a moment for you. So would you say protection is all that matters? Is it your only regret that your friends don't have protection?
Stay safe. Yes. Tiku's mission.
So, if you could protect your friends, you would have no regrets.
That's a hard question. Yeah? Friends, most important. Tiku's mission, most important.
Wonderful.
Tiku is sad that Theron chose bad things, but that's Theron. Tiku can't say his name. City's choice, yes.
He says, well,
He's with family at least. Happy place.
I know what you need to do then, at least. Should be simple for you, if that's your only regret. And
Yes,
in this
pretty
moment,
lady.
you immediately find yourself weaponless.
What the shit?
Your leg is broken and you're currently sitting down. There is multiple kobolds behind you. As you look down, your other
Tiku
leg is broken
cannot
as
die!
well.
That ruins the whole point. Tiku is part of family.
The individual that you had seen before with the mask is currently standing in front of you, his blade drawn to you. And you suddenly, almost like a slew of thoughts that went into your mind, you realize this man's made you an offer. He will either let you live and kill all of your friends, or he will kill you, or he'll kill you and he'll let all of your friends live.
That's a stupid choice. I don't like this trial. Bad god. This is a bad god.
The blade still drawn to you. He seems frozen in time. This is almost as if you just swapped with the individual who's sitting on the ground, but now more of your friends are somehow behind
Zephyr,
you.
I don't like this god either. What is this god?
I'm there for this.
You're still there. Yeah. You also get this, even though you know this isn't for you, you get the sense of what she's being asked.
This murder pooper face is a bad dude. What is this god?
Do I know?
As you look towards him, and you kind of almost like end up walking around to where you're looking at the mask. You you can't actually even see a face. You can't see a mask. You can't see anything about him. But you do know it's not a god. That's a human.
Nah, Tiku just killed this guy.
It is just a man.
Yeah, Tiku can kill man. Die, man. Tiku brain. Dead. That's choice.
Tiku. Tiku. Where do you get your power from?
Crazy if that works.
So, on that note, as Tiku says, brain dead, as she looks at him, he does seem to...
Yes, Tiku brain is awesome. Knew that was bad guy.
In this moment, you
Dumb choice.
kind of, you find yourself happy. Your legs are working. And you stand up.
I was worried that's
You
gonna
turn
happen.
around behind you
Fry my own
to
leg.
see your friends, or at least part of them. Maybe about 40% of your tribe seem to be standing behind you alive, but they currently seem to be burying the other 60% that seem to be dead.
Wait, they're burying them?
Don't they eat them?
I was gonna say that's a bunch of wasted meat.
I guess true. They'd be performing their own death rites, which would be they'd be preparing a feast.
Quartering.
The
them up.
40% is preparing to eat the 60%. My bad. As you look on this, does Tiku feel regretful about it? Is this an okay outcome?
Well, Tiku can die. And
Tiku
Tiku
doesn't
not
die in
sacrifice
this.
his friends. No, Tiku just has to get stronger. No, that's the best move. This is dumb.
So there is regret.
Need a be stronger. Need a better god. That's a bad god. Packer, you're a better god than that, right? Does Packer save people? Nah, Packer just cooks people.
Okay. In that moment, as Tiku seems to be kind of like talking to
Tiku
herself,
needs to get stronger or get a better god.
the scenery again seems to completely change. You do find yourself here as well, but this seems more inclined to you, Zephyr. As
other
the first scene is actually a very familiar one to you, even recently, as you find yourself in a mountain range.
Seems to be my turn now.
Your hand is currently outstretched. You've just cast a spell, actually.
Whoa.
As you look and you see Cytherin currently trapped in the Udaluk's resilient sphere that you had casted yourself. You have a few of your friends that have started to walk up to talk to discuss with you what the next steps are. As this time Cyril seems to appear at the beginning. As Cyril also walks up next to you and he says, "Is this the point?"
No, this isn't the point I regret.
That is the sense that I got. But this was the first place in your mind. It seems we must go further back then. Yours is, again, a bit unique. You have a mark of somebody else. And it seems he has given me a new lesson for you. He's a friend of mine, too, for what it's worth.
I would suspect so.
Where do you think it went wrong?
Trinity at birth.
It all started.
Well, he's thinking about that.
Alicia, or I have no idea how to say her name. Alicia, is asking how chat gives inspiration.
So my thought is, and we can do whatever for this one, but what we need to start doing is probably setting up a poll at the start of every session, and then people can vote on it, and then at the end, one of the players get inspiration.
Currently, I will just let you give one, Jasmine. However, we'll either do a poll, or the other thing that I could do is we will set up a redeemable message in chat to where you can redeem it to give someone inspiration, and then it'll cost channel points. That way, the people who watch more often would be able to give more. So that'd be my thoughts on it. Currently, I'll just, because we don't have that many people in here. Everyone can give one.
We should set up a QR
one
code
per week, and if
in the corner of the screen.
you can call her Allie or Jasmine. I'm just gonna go with Jasmine because I know her by Jasmine. With that,
Wow.
with that, when do you think it is? Not Trinity at birth either.
It's hard to say. Maybe I should have stopped his daughter when I had the chance.
I don't regret anything.
In that moment, the mountain range seems to almost like fade out in that same almost like ghastly visage, and walls seem to formulate around you. You're in a square room, maybe 30 feet by 30 feet. As you look about, you can see on one side there's a seemingly a large, almost like coin in the wall that can kind of open up. On the other side, there is what appears to be a large table with scattered different materials, books, and almost like seemingly ledgers on it. And then across the room, far from you, is in this moment what you realize is a familiar scene to you as well. As you can see a familiar human girl currently leaning on what is a large wolf-like creature. As you recall, this is the point of highest tension. This is the closest you guys ever got to getting in an actual brawl with her. Gurgle was actually in favor at this point of she might be too.
Oh, Tika wasn't here for this part.
She might be too difficult or too dangerous. You would be in this room as well, Tiku, but this would be a foreign environment to you. As you kind of looking around, you can see a turtle that you don't recognize.
What the hell is that?
Tortle, sorry.
This would also be before Cytherin changed.
Oh, I bet
yes.
that one would taste yummy too.
Then
Did
right
he
in
die?
that moment,
Did you guys save his body for me?
But as you stand here, Cyril, again, he seems to be leaning on that table off to the right next to all the papers, and he says, "So, if you did it now, do you think you wouldn't regret it?"
I think Cytherin never would have forgiven me, but at least he would have been safe. And I'll just use my biggest spell on her.
Okay, so I assume that would effectively be your enhanced lightning.
Yeah, I mean, it's
The fireball, the lightning ball is what I meant to say
Yep.
there. Okay. As you kind of gesture out your hand and it hits, you, in a sense, feeling that you are more powerful than you were before, it actually immediately just and seems to eviscerate both her mount, as well as the hooded figure that was with her before. There's even part of the wall that seems to structurally be damaged. And almost, in a sense, you feel... You for a moment, you feel like, yeah, this would have been the right decision. As Cytherin at this point seems to start to move. He turns towards you. How do you think he'd react? Zephyr just killed his daughter in front of him. So if you recall, just a quick reminder for you, this is when you guys went into Ralpurgan. It was when you met with her for the first time. And basically, she offered to work with you guys all to work with you against Serval, is what she had offered here.
You idiot!
It had to be done.
Why? You know what she meant to me.
I know what she was turning you into.
She was the only one preventing me from being a monster.
I don't think that's true, Cytherin. You're not a monster. You're just easily controlled.
Controlled by whom? No one controls me.
Who do you get your powers from? Who holds the cards? I should have stopped you before, but I didn't. Go to your wife and have a happy life.
Yes. I'll go to my wife.
Okay. As he seems to nod, seems confused for a moment, before he also just kind of seems to turn in that ghastly image. Everyone else seems to disappear in this room except for the two of you now. Sairi kind of like takes a step forward and he says, "You believe you would not have regretted it here then? Yes?"
If I would have taken those actions, no, I would not. But I know it's not meant to be.
He almost has like a little bit of a furrow, almost like a sad frown. He says, "Yes, unfortunately we cannot undo the past. However, you can learn from it. Perhaps this is a lesson you can take forward. Now, normally I would send you on your way. Again, per request of your friend. Seems we have one more." And as he kind of like gestures his hand wide, you find yourself back on the cliff face. This is very fresh in your mind. You're standing next to the shrine. You currently are welled up with a kind of power that even in the throne room with Ryvron, you realize that this power has the potential to be much more. You almost immediately find yourself at that same point of not being able to control yourself. And at this point, you actually get to remake the wisdom saving throw from the time. Apologies, it's intellect and then wisdom. So you get to start with the intellect saving
I thought it was wisdom then intellect.
Actually, I think you're right. I think it was wisdom. We're gonna stay with wisdom, and we're gonna go intellect. If I'm wrong, my bad. But we're gonna go wisdom saving throw. And then depending on what that is.
19.
19. In that moment where before you had gotten lost in this power, you realize that this is still power, and it's your power currently. Even if it's from someone else, it's currently your power. The ball of lightning kind of swelling up in your hand that you had from before, you realize this is the blast as well that had eviscerated Terrence, who's currently lying on the ground next to you, bleeding out and unconscious. In that moment of like controlling the power, you realize you can now aim this. It's still going to detonate, but you can aim it. Where does Zephyr shoot it? As a quick reminder as far as scenery, going back this way would effectively be back down the cliff. You have a few friends that are hiding behind different stone stalagmites, different rock formations to prevent themselves from being hit by lightning. Standing next to you is currently Gurgle and Terry. Terry unconscious on the ground on death's door, and then off to your right, a cliff face that effectively cliff face falling down into ocean.
To be honest, Zephyr would probably just shoot it back into the sky.
Okay. As he takes it and he shoots it into the sky, it's
Hopefully to strike a stray god.
as you look up to the sky in what is originally going to be a kind of just getting the blast away from everyone, you start to look through the clouds, almost looking for something. You see the first red streak of familiar power, and you send that bolt just up into the sky. As you kind of like look down towards Harry, currently unconscious on the ground, and you see Gurgle, who had just gotten ready to dodge, effectively behind a rock, because that's the only way that I could think of him to actually be able to dodge that. As Gurgle kind of stops for a moment. At this point, Sairi, again, kind of stands up, he walks up a little bit closer, and he says, "Is that the only regret here? If you simply correctly aimed your spell, would you then be regretless?"
I did regret not knowing how to control that power, letting it overwhelm me. But I also regret the pleasure that power gave me. Still lingers a desire for more of it. I don't know how much I'll regret having the power.
He kind of like looks off and he says, well, that one is something you'll for sure have to come to terms with well, I'll let him speak. And as he kind of like gestures off, he gestures down the hill face a little bit. You see what is a very familiar lightning silhouette to you. But this time it seems to almost gain full features. Not to the point that you can quite like make out how this individual looks, but it's of lightning, to where you can see even the lips of static electricity, the form, the longer hair, and what appears to be almost like this one seems almost like to be a more robe that seems to be covering this humanoid silhouette. As what is a familiar voice to you says, that power, you will have that and more on the path you're looking to take if you reach the end. Would you regret that?
As long as it doesn't turn me into something I hate. Or maybe I'd still be okay with it as long as it protected the ones I cared for.
He seems to like look down, no longer meeting your eyes, as he says, I'm afraid, my child, this will be a most perilous road for you. But it's one I will help you walk. At this point, that silhouette of lightning almost seems to fall like it was a thunderbolt that hit the ground, but it frozen and seems to scatter throughout the ground. Sairi, again, being the one to respond to you, says, well, at least we know where you stand now. This is his, well, I was going to say his trial, but it seems you have already received his blessing as well, so this is not entirely necessary for you. So I can send you both on your way. As he looks towards you, Tiku, and he says, for you, I do wish you luck. Be they human or not, some of them are hard to kill.
How do I kill them?
I couldn't say. I'm not here anymore.
Tiku,
What is that?
just keep aiming for the knees.
As he says that, and then you look back to ask him the question.
But
you look back and you see Gurgle raising his hand.
Ah, shit. Hey, Gurgle.
What were you doing, Gurgle?
Look at her too.
What do you see?
I was just. He said that you don't go into a god's temple unless you're trying to be true to
Gurgle?
yourself, and I said I would.
Not be true to yourself?
You guys weren't here for that part.
Oh, that's true, you just said.
Also, the bad guys over there.
Where?
As you would also see that same scene of the about 30-foot stretch of carpet going up towards a 3-step staircase. Moloch, or Talos, currently kneeling to what is a stone cloud with Cyril laying across the top of it.
That's not the bad guy I saw. Gurgle, after we save your grandpa from the fiery depths of hell or whatever he is.
That is the bad guy.
He's not the bad guy right now. He's
He's the guy that
image.
struck us with lightning.
They both seem to be frozen in place as well.
That
Same
is Malak, aka Talos, aka Zephyr's enemy.
Also, the guy that struck us with gigantic lightning. That was
Do you want to live in the Koba village after you save your grandpa? Will he live in the Koba village? You're pretty strong, right?
I think it would be better if the kobolds moved to where the ground are.
No way, your village is crazy. Also, poison everywhere.
It was only crazy because bad people were in charge. It's not going to be crazy anymore.
Poison.
Wait, aren't those snakes native? What? Never mind. Okay, we got more important things to do. As I start walking towards the Malik figure.
Wait, Zephyr. This is important.
Tiku,
I am in
You guys can
favor of
talk.
figuring out how to not get zapped by a giant lightning bolt again. Not that would have killed me, but it probably would have killed you guys.
Okay. So Zephyr is currently approaching. What are the rest of you doing? Whoa.
I already saw where I was going to hide. I could see the hole in the lightning.
I do agree with Zephyr, though. We do not know if we are currently under a time limit. So,
I also don't think that he's frozen forever.
correct. And I'll follow Zephyr.
What if we just stab him while he's frozen?
This is a memory, Gurgle. I highly doubt it would work.
We've seen a few of these images on the way in here. I'm sure this is just another part of the story.
So is the guy that's been walking around talking to us? Is that Rivermon?
No, that is Salary.
Is that?
I think she's
just
the
a
wind
different version
god.
of
She's the one that
Rivermon?
temple we're in.
Salary was the wind
River-
god before Talos.
Oh, Tico got it right. Oh, brilliant. Tico never gets things right.
Very good, Tiku.
Yes,
Well,
Tico
very
knows
kind
gods.
Congratulations, young kobold.
Yes, praise me more. Tico is learning.
Is Salary actually here?
I think this is just an echo.
Well, he definitely spoke to us, and he is definitely at least remnants of something
Holy
Australia.
shit. Tico thought it was a girl this whole time.
Tiku doesn't what?
Thought it was a girl this whole time.
Cyrene is definitely a dude.
My bad, dude, my bad.
This isn't 2024 yet. You're good.
So
Dude, like,
Gurgles look for a
kobolds
place to hide. You two are walking up.
have genders, but I mean, we're not discriminatory either. But
He's not
I'm sorry,
looking for.
Zephyr.
He was talking about back with the lightning bolt.
you look
I'm pretty
very
sure he's following.
angry. I'm sorry,
could be
Zephyr. Think you do is
mistaken,
be
though.
quiet now?
Yeah, I wasn't hiding.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's-
I was
apologies. I thought you were
saying I knew where to hide from the big lightning bolt.
Got it. Yeah, I
My
apologize.
bad.
I thought you were talking about the temple. What are you doing, Tiku? What are you doing?
Being quiet?
These two are walking.
us three.
He looks angry.
Oh, these three. Sorry.
Being quiet.
Zephyr looks angry.
Zephyr moved forward.
Razu is also moving forward, so currently Tiku is the only one kind of just standing back. She's like,
Tiku's alone.
He looks angry as everyone just keeps leaving you.
Oh, right. Tico's gonna fall.
Yeah, I told him. Look at Zephyr's not the angry one. Razer is. Look at his eyes.
They're not bloodshot.
Zephyr.
anyone.
No, as
I
she
know
looks,
not
they're
the reason
definitely still
you're
bloodshot.
here, but in case our two goals align, I'm here for information from Salary himself.
What type of information?
He does have crazy eyes. Dude, you have crazy
I know that they know that the gods
Nothing
aren't
new.
dying or being replaced, right?
Nope.
Okay. Specifically, it is for Oliver. He tasked me to return here, as I stated. And
Oh,
it's,
friend. How's that, man? Did you see him?
I did actually. He
Oh.
was able to. I don't know what the word is. Override Salary's influence to introduce to me himself. And he gave me the task of asking Salary why the. I'm uncertain if you are aware of this information, but why the gods are not dying. Not being replaced, so to speak.
After this, I may be able
Like
to
the
feed you some
current
information.
Gods?
I have some theories.
Or just like.
You are aware of this?
I'm a champion of a lesser god, so it tends to come up in conversation.
That is fair.
Is
I
Talos
would look forward to that conversation after this trial.
Of course. As long as we make it out alive.
Of course.
Oh, I'm messing it out loud.
is Talos beneath Bahamut and Tiamat? Zephyr?
Is there a god hierarchy?
They're at that point they're all just major gods. They don't
I can tell you for certain, though, Bahamut is by far the strongest, Tiamat only being his equal. Barely.
but their strength is all the major gods' strengths are different. From what I understand, once you get to that level of power, they don't tend to mess with each other much.
Because if they did, the world would collapse.
At this point, as you get to the base of the stairs, almost seemingly in response to you getting to the base stair, Zephyr being first, but you guys kind of as a group together, Sairi, just kind of like leaning back, looks down towards Talos, or in this case Malik, and he says, "Well, Malik, I know it's not terribly surprising to you, but I'm a bit surprised at how quickly you went through all of those. It's a bit sad, you know. Got rather attached to all of this." He kind of like gestures. Even though you're in this kind of underwater area, you almost get the sense of like wind that seems to blow. Almost like in whatever the actual place that they were, that he might have been controlling wind. As Sairi kind of, again, almost seemingly disappointed, but slides off to where his feet are now dangling off the stone cloud. Looks at Malik and says, well, stand, my boy. If nothing else, you've earned the right to stand proud. And as remiss as I am to let go of my station, I'm glad I could give it to one like you. He steps down. At this point, Sairi kind of like gestures his hand to the left, and it almost looks like a billow of wind that kind of and forms off, but maybe like 4 feet to the left of them. And you see what is a familiar yet different individual, especially to you, Zephyr, as you're one of the only people who have interacted with this individual multiple times. You see what is this appears to be a very pale human. Cheeks still a little bit sulken. Seems to be wearing a tunic with a bit of a vest over the top of it. Effectively brown trousers that are stained with dirt on the knees. As you look at the fingers, they're a little bit longer, but definitely more intact than the last time you saw him. As his arms actually up to his chest, he very much so looks like an actual gravekeeper, but extremely well dressed and nice. His eyes actually both seem to have almost like a green and blue hue that seem to spin in them where the pupil is, giving you the essence of very much so magical eyesight. As he looks to each of them, he turns and he seems to start to talk like he's saying something, but there's no sound. Sairi says, I do, in sound mind and sound control, elect to give my station to Malik.
Who is this?
At this point, Malik stands up and smiling. He turns towards who you can very much recognize as the Gravekeeper. Cyril also takes a step towards him, and they both walk towards the Gravekeeper, who holds up both hands.
In response to his thing, Zephyr just starts singing one of the Gravekeeper nursery rhymes.
I can actually send that to you if you want.
He's also got one.
I'm just gonna say I did it.
Okay. For now, as we don't actually have them in song form, we're gonna say that you lightly start to sing them. As he actually walks up, Cyril places his hand into the hand of the Gravekeeper, and you immediately watch his kind of like puffed up hair almost seems to dry out and fall to his head, becoming a little bit more straight, almost like when you see an individual with a balding head, how the hair very often will become a little bit more stringy and fall flat, even if it was once curly. His skin begins to wrinkle immediately. He almost like seems to slightly hunch a little bit. It very much looks like you're seeing someone age at an incredibly rapid pace. As the I hated the crystal skull, which is what I'm pretty sure you're referring to. Maybe I just haven't seen it. Whatever the case is, as he seems to age at an incredibly high rate, Malik the Gravekeeper again holding his hand out. Malik reaches with one hand, reaches out almost to take the other. Looks like he's gonna take it. And he looks to Cyril, now looking much more old, and he says, "You know, your generation is far too trusting." And he pulls out what is a familiar green blade to most of you, would likely have gotten a rise out of Cytherin, as he pulls out a green dagger and just straight through the side, up, effectively just under the armpit, sending the sword up into the lower part of the neck of Cyril. The Gravekeeper kind of like turns towards him. Malik, who you know as Talos, turns and he says, "Oh, don't worry, I didn't forget about you." And he reaches into his side and he pulls out what appears to be a small silver cube. The Gravekeeper kind of like goes to reach out his hand, almost like it has a sense of purpose and it doesn't feel it can be stopped. As it goes out, and he kind of holds the cube out and then presses it up into his hand. And the Gravekeeper seems to and just gets pulled into this silver cube. Cyril, with the blade stabbed through him, kind of like stumbles a little bit and looks and he says, can't say I'm surprised by the action. But you, Malik? At this point, he actually just falls to the ground. Very much so, seems dead. Bleeding out on the ground. Malik pulls the blade out, kind of just spins it a little bit, almost like wiping some or spilling some of the blood on the floor. And goes, just 2 more. 2 more. And then our deal will be complete. As he looks off to the right. At this point, you guys kind of like follow his gaze, looking off, and you see a multitude of individuals. It almost looks like an audience. And while these are still ghastly in nature, you can very much so see the silhouettes that are familiar to all of you, really. As you can see a silhouette of Bahamut, you see one of Tiamat, of the Wild Mother, of Lathander, of...
I feel as if, or as this is happening and he's looking at the various people, that a storm cloud's building around Zephyr.
Well, I'd say that's definitely reasonable. As you continue to lightly sing the Gravekeeper's tune, almost like under your breath, but enough of a whisper that you guys can all hear, lightning starts to almost like, he very much so starts to become static. The storm starts to billow at his feet. And at this moment, very much the features of all of these different gods seem to fill in. Bahamut being the first one to step forward, he seems to step up in advance to all of them and turns to the other gods. He says, "This will be the one and only time we were all in agreement. But in the actions today, I believe we can set apart a better world for everyone else." One of the heads of Tiamat seems to respond and says, "Only because I'm here. Leaving someone like you around forever is just... it's a terrible sour taste." The head kind of like recalls back. Another individual, familiar to you actually, a hooded elf seems to step forward, kind of her hood currently down. She goes, "Now, let's not get hostile. We still have a few more of the old ones to deal with. Talos, you have done well by us so far. Your station is all but secured. Tell me, can you get the last 2? Or do we need to simply pass that off? Perhaps you, Lathander." At this point, Lathander kind of steps forward. Lathander himself being a human, he's got brilliant blonde hair that's kind of fallen in strings around his face. He's wearing what appears to be a kingly garb. He's got a cape, very nice tunic, seems to be wearing purples and reds. And he says, "As necessary as this is, I don't think I could. Is there not any other way?" They turn. Another individual steps forward. This individual seems almost lizard-like in nature. He's got scales to his features, his nose pressed in, almost looking similar to a Yuan Ti, but a little bit more lizard-like in the actual features of him. His ears, almost like elf ears going up, but instead it's jagged leathered spikes. As he steps forward, he's like, "Well, I'm happy to do it. If we have those spineless here. My only request is that those of us that actually take action require, we'll say, more. In the coming times, we will, well, let's just say certain compromises will need to be made. You up to that?" Looking to Lathander, he says, "If that is how it must be, yes. Again, I can't take this action." Bahamut, being the next one to chime up, says, "Well, do keep in mind, Lathander, you see, you can still do things correctly by following the rules. Even if unscrupulous events seem to happen. After that, you can still follow the law. And this is the one time that all things must break, so that we can hold true and build a city or a world to last forever." At this point, a few of them almost just seem to acknowledge it and seem to start to fade out. And within a few moments, all the individuals are gone, except Talos, who seems to be still standing near you.
I specifically, before they head out, want to see what the Wild Mother's reaction is to all this.
As you focus on the Wild Mother, even though you've never actually seen the Wild Mother, as you focus on these ones, they do seem to fill out, as you are still very familiar with the sense of these gods. She has not said anything, but you realize, we'll say you actually did it a little bit early on, and she seems to be crying the whole time. In addition to crying, she actually seems to be almost like looking off to the left to Tyrell, who, as is a quick reminder to you, just in case you don't know, Tyrell would actually be the husband of the Wild Mother. They together are considered effectively the god of nature. And as she's kind of crying into Tyrell almost like takes her and holds her a little bit closer and just shakes his head in agreement with the events that are happening, but not chiming in himself. What's up?
You do it too?
Okay.
Do what?
Shakes his head when you're supposed to say nods his head?
I'm thinking about a lot of stuff, man. Chill out. What's up?
Never mind. I don't remember.
Is the elf that I recognize the one that talked to Palma and Tima?
Yes. You still don't know who that one is, but you do recognize her.
And I did recognize the entire group as being major gods.
You recognize some of them. I'd say the only one who really 100% recognized everyone was Zephyr, as he's a religious man in nature.
Isn't Bane a major god?
Bane is present there. In fact, you've seen Bane. He would have been off to the left, standing quite a bit taller, 4 arms, almost ogre-like in nature. Bane was very much so present, but didn't seem to say anything.
Zephyr, who is that elf?
I am going to have you go ahead and make a religion check if you don't know offhand.
Yeah.
When was Talos seated? When did he become a god? When did this take place?
You also need a religion check for that. Current gods have been in power for a long time.
23.
23. How old are you? You rolled 23. 43? Okay. You would actually be unfamiliar with how long Talos has been in power, but you would know via your own experience, who you've talked through throughout your life and the research that you've done, that not only Talos, you know that all gods currently have been in power for the last 600 years. Something happened 600 years ago for the seats of the gods. However, exactly what that was, for most people, is like, oh, that's probably when one of the gods took over. Because it's known that the last true War of Ascension happened around 600 years ago. But what the result of that was and who went to power, if that was documented, has long since been lost. And it's likely, it's basically that the current pantheon has been around for at least 600 years. It'd be a little bit more than 600 years, but like right around 600 years.
They're all bad.
23.
23. So I'm going to say that you have one of 2 options that you could think of, because they're the only 2 that you've never seen a face to. It's either the Raven Queen, who typically is behind the head of a raven, or Shar, who is unknown in how she looks. Those are the only 2 that would fit the image, and the only other individual that would have fit the image stayed covered and hooded. Seemed almost to continue to stay ghastly, in the sense of not being familiar with her. You could not place a face to her. So for both of them, you're confident it's one or the other. It's either the Raven Queen or it's Shar.
It's hard to say. It's either Raven Queen or Shar. I'm not sure. I would assume Shar, considering the Raven Queen doesn't typically reveal herself. But I can't be for certain.
At this moment, as he answers you, and you guys, now all the gods, so I'm going to say at this point is the point where all the gods seem to almost like fade out. You get the idea the conversation didn't end there, but whatever it is that's allowing you to interact with that conversation seems to end there. As you guys kind of like look off towards Talos, and you immediately find yourself in a different area. You're no longer in that underwater temple. You're instead in what is it almost is like a jagged square in its design. The stone, the ground is made out of stonework. There seems to be almost like, it almost looks like clouds or wind that seem to be billowing around the outer edges of the room. There's a door that's currently shut, not but 15 paces from you. And at the far end of the room, you can see Talos currently talking to what appears to be a large coiled snake. As you guys kind of like all enter and you start to listen, you hear Talos at the tail end of saying, on this occasion, I believe that perhaps only one left. There's only one problem with it. The boy seems to have gone missing. I haven't told the rest, but currently, I feel like I can assign this to you. I have a placeholder. It won't hold forever, but it'll hold the power. You must find me the boy. There's, we'll say I made a deal, like we're doing now. We'll keep it at that, yes? And the response is, yes. And I will gain a seat. Talos seems to nod to this. He says, yes, Seth. You'll have to elect a champion first, but if you're able to fulfill your end of this bargain, and we're able to find the boy, or at least another power to act as a key or a placeholder, a seal, I guess would be the best way to say this. Yes, I can make a seat for you. I did, after all, leave a couple loopholes. And at this point, Talos seems to... And then the snake also seems to fade out, but instead of fading and then just disappearing, it seems to almost go to the far, far wall and is now just coiled up. As it kind of unravels and looks towards you, it goes, guest.
Oh shit.
It kind of starts to unwrap, and you realize the snake is easily 20, 30, 40 feet long.
Why is
as
the
it
bad
continues
guys
to unravel
always
from this
snakes?
coil. Its head kind of starting to
At
go
least they
across the
taste
floor
good.
to you.
So
you are aware of our presence.
Everything's been like an image up to this point. I start like walking a little bit and see if it follows its gaze.
It very much so seems to and look towards you.
I stop.
As you ask if it can hear you, it turns towards you and says, yes.
So, are you here as part of the trial, or are you, Seth, the Major God, actually here?
It immediately seems to perk up its head. It says, Major, I like that. Yes.
Is it blue?
Holy shit, we're about to fight the god.
The snake? No, the snake would be green.
Don't
Tico
get
takes out a
Green,
god.
red
Does that mean
eyes, and
Tico
seems
is a
to
god?
have. It seems to think like a coral snake where the colors seem to alternate. It's alternating red and green.
Did Talos leave you here to be forgotten?
It immediately seems upset. This is Talos. He's a liar. His promises mean nothing. Are you with him? As he seems to inspect you for a moment. This is the lightning.
Don't insult me.
He's about as antithesis to Talos you can get.
He continues to look around. He then finds himself focused on you, Gurgle, and he says, You've met him. My hero. He's mocked you. And it, again, starts to slither a bit closer to you guys, getting to where it's like 5-10 feet away from you guys, seeing what is this. The snake's head's, just its head's roughly about this big. This is a large snake. In terms of D&D, one might say a gargantuan snake as well. As it now looking towards you, it says, Are you the keys? He told me you would come. The monk. Yes. And the snake kind of swivels back and immediately, in a rapid motion, just back to the other side. Seems its head just crashes into a wall. And then it, out of that wall, it seems that a few different, almost like, it looks to be like a pile of artifacts seem to spill out of a hole in the wall. and its head starts to look around, and it seems to be using its tongue as its tongue being split in the middle, much like a snake's tail, but it seems to have almost control over the individual pieces of the tongue, almost giving the idea of like fingers, as it starts to quickly rummage through the materials.
Might I inquire who told you of their coming?
It currently seems focused. It doesn't turn its head or anything.
And keys for what?
It stops. The end. The beginning. The start of something new. What's up?
Is Asmodeus a major guard?
Asmodeus would be considered one of the major guards of Vetier, yes.
How many major guards are there?
Make a religion check.
I slowly uncoil my whip on the floor.
And who exactly is the one who told you to expect us? Or them?
It kind of stops. No one told me to expect you. I sent for you.
21.
21?
Natural 20.
You know of 10, and you're pretty sure there's more. Spoiler alert. Zephyr knows of 13. Currently known major gods, there are 13. I'd say that you, like, quickly, you're just like, how many of them are? And Zephyr, like, actually responds to you and tells you there's 13 of them. At this point, though, the snake, again, its head pivots back towards you guys. Its tongue seems to be wrapped up over something. Both of them seem to be wrapped up and covering something. It drops it to the floor in front of you guys as you hit very large, like, as what is a larger iron ball is dropped onto the ground. It seems compressed and almost it's almost like someone just took a rock or a piece of iron and just somehow via force just crushed it down. This is the key, the next step that you need. And it uses its tongue to almost like push it towards you. And it says, find your way to the obsidian heart. Release what is sealed.
Are you aware of this key he is referring to?
I have no idea.
Perhaps you could elaborate for us lowly
The
mortals.
key for the gravekeeper.
One, yes. But that is not what this is.
The Gravekeeper's a myth.
You saw the Gravekeeper. Just barely.
The individual that was
entity
absorbed.
that got captured
Yes,
into
the one
cube.
that was passing the torch to Talos.
I thought those were just children's tales to scare him.
There's evidence to say otherwise.
Did you
Fascinating.
order your champion to do what happened to my village?
An unfortunate setback of events. I have no ill will towards you, but you had to be set on the path. I ordered him to gather those who can open the keys.
And why would I do your bidding instead of just killing you?
If he has marked you, he sees that you will take the necessary steps to silence the traitor. Talos must die, so that I may be free.
Okay, I want to do an insight check.
Go for it.
Because I'm trying to figure out if he's legit, like, against Talos, or if he's, like, double-crossing us here.
Go for it. Make an insight check.
I mean, he could be doing both though, right?
I mean, maybe, but, like, insight +2, so 17.
17. Actually, I need to roll for him. He's definitely against Talos. Despite what was the scene that you saw previously, this individual does not seem to be on good terms with Talos at all. That said, he also doesn't seem to have your best interest at heart either.
Okay, so let me think about this. So Seth actually exists in the world typically and has a pretty big following, right? So like somewhere.
Probably thanks to nature's children.
Seth was thought to be dead, actually.
Oh, okay. I was
And via your religion, I would actually say that you would actually know Seth to be dead, but it does seem that some cult of some sort seems to have been bringing back up Seth. Whether or not that has actually restored any power or anything like that is very hard to say, because from your knowledge, especially with what you just saw, it seems that gods have to gain their power from something. So if nature's children somehow figured out a way to maybe revive or give someone the name Seth, that's potential. But Seth as a god is someone who would have actually died previously. Specifically, Osmodeus would have been the one who would have killed him.
You're looking to do this for your own ascension.
He looks at you. Yes, as was promised to me.
Who gave you the information of of these necessary steps, I guess?
I made it. I was the Forge Master, the creator. You have it now. As he says it, you immediately start to hear the familiar as the hum begins.
I'll grab it.
As you pull out the Cube of the Infinite, it seems to be shifting at a rapid pace as Seth looks toward, or as what appears to be Seth, looks towards it, and he seems to get focused for a moment.
By the way, as I pull it out, I look to him. I'd be like, "Don't stare at this for too long."
Oh, it's too late. I already did.
Okay, you can stare at it. Just don't stare at it for too long.
I literally, like, as you're saying that, he is staring at it.
Don't look at it when the humming stops.
Wisdom saving throw. You do need to make one.
I thought it was only when the humming stops.
That's a 10.
I'm going to kill another player. Yes. No.
With the natural 1.
Lovely. Okay, so for the moment, very much so, Cain seems to go into a trance. Seth, however, as he looks at it, he stops and he looks towards you, Zephyr. He says, yes, I see it. The path. Unlock the vault. Release the obsidian heart. And all shall be right. With the insight that you had from before, very much so it seems as if he does want to kill Talos, but there is it's not even necessarily that he's against you, it's that he seems very invested in his own outcome here, and he seems to think that if by putting you on this path it'll push him in that direction.
Well, Seth, seems our goals align for now, but you realize we're against almost all the gods.
The snake smiles broadly and says, yes, and now that you know, you can meet the rest of us.
There's more of you.
Those scorned, those who should have ascended, yes. The ascension must continue. It must begin again. The obsidian heart is in the magma core. It's the center of the sea. You've actually heard this before. Okay. This is the giant volcano. This is actually where the dwarves from Zotrakar go to forge. It's not on that map.
The Cinder Isles.
Yeah, it's in the center of the Cinder
It's
Isles.
at the center of the Cinder Isles, yes.
Note, we'll post maps on Facebook later.
I do have them all. I can post all the maps on Facebook
Yeah, we can
to
post those
actually
later.
show people what we're talking about.
Man, if only someone from our party had actually been there.
I assume this is not just this is one of the keys for the Gravekeeper.
It is a key to a seal, yes. One has recently been opened, separate from you. Again, you shall meet friends soon.
Tiku has a question.
Looks to you, seemingly notably uninterested as it looks to you. He says, yes.
If we do this thing, does that mean gods get less strong? Or less evil people?
That
More
means
striking down of evil people?
stronger gods will take their place.
Shit.
Better protection for Tiku.
What?
If you find you're a god,
Oh. But my god, this is hard for Tiku. Wait, so gods can be taken over by other people that are going to be stronger gods? So Tiku needs to keep finding younger, stronger gods.
it's probably not best to swap gods that often.
You have to go with the newest dude because he's the strongest.
You don't just upgrade your model because you need someone stronger.
Have you never heard of the iPhone?
Do you accept?
How does Tiku beat these strong guys?
He looks towards the large chunk of iron that's written on the ground. He says, you free one who can kill them.
What if Tiku follows the Gravekeeper god? He's the strongest god. Or Tiku becomes Gravekeeper servant. Then Tiku is strongest god.
The Gravekeeper will still kill you.
Seth seems kind of confused
Tiku
by
is
these.
brilliant.
Seems confused by your the logic
Tiku
you're
be
taking.
new disciple of where's this Gravekeeper dude?
He again looks towards the heart. So, what?
Are we killing this snake, by the way? I thought we killed all the snakes.
No. We're not going to kill you.
He again smiles and he says, "No, you're not."
You're very big, but you'd be very good flayed.
As it starts to,
she has this thing about,
starts to hiss.
She has a thing about food. She's just saying that you look delicious as a compliment, not an insult.
Do you? As you, Gurgle, being familiar with snakes, being from Gongili, can very much so see, like, as it starts to hiss and it starts to almost like move around, seemingly sizing up how hard it would be to eat you. Specifically, Tiku.
Tiku is very small. It's probably not that hard, to be totally honest.
I
guess
walk
we
over.
approach the.
I walk over to the chain ball.
Yeah.
And is it just like attached to a chain?
No. So it's just like a ball of iron. It's not actually chained. I apologize if I said it was. It's like a ball of iron that has been crushed down. It's again roughly about this big.
My character starts to go into a slight rage, and the flames start flickering on his head. And then I like grab the ball and I say, "If I find out that you ordered what happened to my family, I will kill you." And then I flip the whip in flame and I like whoosh on the ground, and then I say, "But right now, suppose I need this because I do need to go to the Obsidian Heart." And I start walking away from him.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm walking.
So as a quick reminder, there's a door about 10 feet away from you guys right now. So you would effectively start to walk towards the door, and he goes, "Yes, I'll even give you the one you want if you succeed."
Who's the rest of us?
I guess we follow Gurgle. To the door.
Zephyr starts to go. You asking him who the rest of it is, and he says, "You will see. We have friends that will help." Again, the snake smiling. It seems to turn, and it goes back to the back of the room. Starts to coil back up. Seems for whatever reason the snake either doesn't want to or can't leave this area. As you get to the door, though, Gurgle, and you kind of just put your hands on it and push it open, it doesn't seem to have much resistance at all as it just opens up, and currently in front of you it seems almost like a white silhouette. There's almost like it gives you the idea of like a portal that you can walk through.
I just walk in.
Okay. Is anybody doing anything else in the room, or are we all leaving? What are we doing?
Oh, Tiku's gone. That snake was trying to eat her.
Tiku's out. Okay, so you guys all make your way out of this room.
Scurry.
I don't.
You're like sort of zigzagging a little bit just out of...
As the four of you make your way out of this room, you, as the four of you make your way out of the room, I suddenly forget your name again. Kane, there we go. I keep saying you because I can't remember your name. Kane, you stay in the room as the snake kind of like picks its head up from the coil. And
Not by choice. I looked at the cube.
oh, wait. I totally freaking forgot. You're right. Do you guys drag Kane with you?
Oh, if he's comatose, for sure, have Razu. Razu, can you grab him? He's...
Sure.
And I also hide the cube.
Okay. As you hide the cube, so actually for the sake of this, so the reason I forgot is because I forgot to do something that he was planning on doing. So we're going to say he does it now. As you pick him up, Seth kind of uncoils his head and turns and says, "One thing I forgot. I'll free your friend just once." As it hisses, the hum seems to stop. It seemed to, in response to it, seemed to start humming before. Seems it can get it to stop as well. It actually is going to end the effect on you, and this is why I was saying it, is because he meant to do that, or I meant to have him do that, and I forgot. But I would say effectively when you come back to consciousness is as Razu's now carried you through this portal. The four of you find yourselves not on the cliff face that you recognize from before, but on a new cliff face. The cliff face you're at now, the shrine with the stones and everything, seem to be completely just decimated and broken. And effectively, the only reason you're still on a cliff face is because where that lightning had struck previously just went all the way down to the sea. Down to the point that you can actually see a little bit of the water very much so gives up. It looks...
Concave?
Yeah, very much. It looks like it almost made a new
hole.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a good word for it.
Cove?
But
he made a whirlpool. He made a permanent whirlpool.
But yes, you are on a new cliff face. But as you guys look about, Zephyr's not here. Zephyr's missing.
Did anybody see Zephyr? I'm pretty sure you followed me.
Why am I on your shoulder?
Because you passed the fuck out.
Because you looked at the cube that houses the gravekeeper that doesn't exist.
On that, hold for just a moment. As you, Zephyr, as you stepped into that white, you found yourself instead in a storm cloud. You immediately get the sense you're about to fall, and then realize that you're very much so currently suspended in air. As you kind of like look about in this storm cloud, this seems both alien and friendly simultaneously. You can hear lightning that seems to be kind of echoing throughout the cloud around you, and this is again both alien and familiar at the same time. From almost like a portion, it's almost as if a portion of the cloud near you seems to almost like formulate into a silhouette of a humanoid met with electricity. And again, this is a visage of Riveron, effectively an embodiment, but doesn't seem complete. As it kind of moves forward, he says, "And now you know the gravest secret."
I don't
The greatest
I understand that Malik, or now Talos, gained power from the Wind God. But why does he have power over lightning?
As this almost like seemingly silhouette of Ryvern kind of like looks down at himself, you see the cloud is still being pulled backwards. It's like he's part of this storm. He says, I am but a fragment of what I once was. Talos took a part of me. That is why my gifts have waned. But I know what I must do. And I realize the burden I place on you is too high. But it would result in me leaving you until you're able to complete your mission. If that is what it meant, would you still carry forward?
If it was your wish, I would do anything.
And again, he seems to look down, almost like ashamed to meet your gaze. It very much so, even though you can't really make out the exact features, you get the sense of extreme sadness from him.
As he's looking away from me, I actually kneel and look up to him.
As you kneel and he's like just looking down towards you in this case. Know that I love you, my son. And I hope that we will meet again. As he reaches out and he places his hand on his shoulder, the cloud seems to... and he seems to quite literally absorb into you. In this moment, the storm itself, the lightning, just kind of... and a bit of it actually seems to... and pulse through you. Still red in nature. You immediately feel yourself invigorated. You feel a fraction of that power that you felt from before that you couldn't control. You now realize, in this moment, you actually realize that Ryveron is Talos. The power isn't different. That's why you were able to control it. This is the sense of Talos, or maybe a portion of him that is broken off. Maybe still trying to hold to the natural order. Maybe there was something good in Talos at one point, and somehow that seemed to have been separated. You're not entirely sure. But as this fuses with you, you both get the sense of separation, of the connection with Ryveron was fading, and it fully seems to disappear. The connection is just wholeheartedly gone.
I try to tap into that connection with prayer, and I assume I am met with silence.
You are met with silence. However, you suddenly feel, in the storm that you're currently in, you get the sense that there's an answer here. An evil and powerful answer. But rather than feeling the connection, you instead feel as if almost you're shielded from it. You can sense it, but you get the idea that it cannot sense you. Almost like this lightning or this power is seeking you as a host. But somehow, it's almost like an exoskeleton that seems to shield you from this magic. You get the sense in this moment that while he is silent, the reason the connection isn't gone is because it seems that he is merged with you.
Okay. So for a moment, Zephyr looks around, make sure there's no one else around, because I don't want collateral damage. For a moment, I see if I can lower that protection.
As soon as you lower that protection, the storm itself almost immediately starts to swirl around you. You immediately get the sense that this isn't just a storm, this is your storm. You could easily control this storm. But also in that moment, as you're kind of lowering it, you realize that if you let go any more and you actually take control of that storm, then you'd have to, basically you'd be at odds with that power. In other words, you'd have to roll either wisdom, intelligence, whatever the check may be, to actually be able to harness this ability.
I will try to attempt it once.
Okay. What do you want to use it to do as that determines the check?
He just wants to make a big ass lightning
pretty much.
fireball.
Just the
He just
biggest
wants to
freaking.
explode.
I want to try to simulate what happened to us. a moment
Oh, call down God's wrath.
Okay.
A lightning ray.
Lightning ray.
That
Yeah.
is going to be a wisdom saving throw.
15.
15 is actually enough for in the sense of what you're doing. So effectively what you do is, as you seem to be able to harness that storm, you don't get perfect control over it. You're still being careful here. Instead, you're effectively trying to see if you can release the destructive power of this, as again that you get that orb to spawn in your hand, and it gets bigger and it rapidly gets to a point where you realize the level of control this would take is going to be more difficult depending on how much power you want to hold. Rather than trying to fully control that, knowing that there isn't currently collateral around you, you effectively, in a similar fashion that you shot it into the sky, you instead almost like open the lightning as it just shoots lightning bolts in every direction. Similar to when you had used the orb at the shrine previously, and it shot out literally over like hundreds of bolts in that same fashion. At this moment, you guys standing on the cliff, the storm has been, it's still stormy, but the cloud just and shoots in hundreds of different directions. Definitely not natural. And the power is similar in fashion to what you guys had seen just previously, although you do get the sense it's not quite as strong.
I'll spin my staff, preparing for combat. Last time that happened.
As all those lightning bolts streak out, and you get that sense the shield almost naturally, almost like you're consciously making the choice. As soon as you release that power, it seems to almost reform
that conducts lightning
over itself.
Better than being on top of a mountain.
Tika's plan, dive into the water.
Gonna have to be careful.
Just
with this
pre-warning,
power.
Tika, it's a 300-foot jump. You better be really good at diving.
I mean, that's better than getting
Zephyr
lightning
finish
barbecued.
Let Zephyr finish, then you guys can talk.
Seems I'm going to be careful with this power.
Lightning leaves a terrible aftertaste.
Jacob,
My body wouldn't even be
wait.
good.
Let Zephyr finish.
It seems I'm going to have to be careful with this power. My friends have to make sure I don't have another incident like with Terrence. And I will attempt to descend from the clouds.
Okay. As you prepare for battle, you kind of like wield your staff. Before, when the lightning gets shot out, it came back in and then shot down at a beam. As you prepare for battle, a streak of lightning does and strikes down. You immediately kind of brace for combat. The rest of you kind of like tense up, ready for whatever this situation is. As Zephyr, almost kind of coming down from a kneeling stance, stands in what is almost like a smoking, like little, I'd say smoking crater, but it's more of just like a little break in the rock. Whereas Lightning, as he seems to have been able to, or as he seems to have traveled on a lightning bolt.
Friend of foe.
Red, right?
Yes, the lightning is red.
I always like to picture that whenever Zephyr is messing with red lightning, his whole armor and everything does change with it as well. His eyes, but as he calms, the blue reappears.
Friend of foe.
I'm myself.
Whatever that means, lightly.
Take it or leave it, Gurgle.
As long as he's not trying to kill us.
I'm not sure how Talos did it, but it seems that he managed to steal power from Riveron. Riveron is not a lesser god, but the greater god of lightning, it seems to be. Seems he may have been working conjunction with these other two gods. Talos somehow stole some power But since the Gravekeeper was trapped, couldn't make him pass. The lightning Talos wields, the power is the power stolen from Riveron. Tis not his power.
Is it
Time
utilizing
gathered.
that same technique as why Cylry still lives? Or lives?
I don't believe he lives anymore, as he's passed. Well, I guess he would be in the dagger. The Gravekeeper didn't get the chance to take him.
Do you know what that dagger did? Seems like you do, based upon what you just said.
I've seen
We've seen one before.
two, actually,
So what did it do?
to trap souls. Apparently strong enough to trap souls of a weakened god, at least.
That is terrifying that is in the hands of our enemies.
So we know what happened
It's
to
actually a misconception. It doesn't trap souls as much as it like sends them to a like river. You can't just like break it and release the soul, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I'm not sure how it works. I haven't gotten a hold of it to cast Identify, so...
Actually, you're not 100% sure how it works either.
Actually, no, I learned because I was talking to the Guardian. And it
Wait,
told
no,
me.
you did. Apologies. You're right. I thought you were metagaming based off of item knowledge.
No.
No, you're good. You're good. I apologize. That was my bad.
No, the
yeah,
Guardian.
you're good.
The Guardian of the Forest told me how it works.
Yeah, you're good. Carry on.
Yeah, Lieutenant.
Do you know?
The Forest Guardian told me that you can't really get the souls out of the dagger.
So how do you know where the souls are? You said river. Did they
He said like,
move on to the underworld?
I mean, he explained it as like a. It's like a river of souls. I don't know. He didn't really give me much more than it was a river of souls.
But I would assume, as it was a god, though, the god would just be trapped in the river. No longer be able to pass on.
Well,
to the
everything's trapped in the
Gravekeeper.
river. I'm just saying you can't break the dagger to get him out.
Oh, I wasn't saying that necessarily. But I am saying that the god still may live, and Riveron managed to escape with a small portion of his power. But I actually am curious. There's one more god here. Numera. I haven't seen anything about her yet. I assume it's her.
You're actually not 100%. Actually, no, you would. You would
He's
be
the
kind of
one
familiar.
who got the history check on Namera. I got Cylry.
So there's actually two reasons as you think about this in a moment. Namera you recognize for two reasons. The first of which is that it was a previous water god, effectively. Then also you realize you'd heard Cetherin offer up prayers to her. And yes, I did change her name.
Okay.
I'll tell you why later.
Maybe we should check out her temple and see.
We're not currently still in that plane. Unless you know of ways to re-enter it.
Also, we never went in Riveron's temple either. Said no.
Riveron came to me.
I don't think we're getting into any temple. I'm pretty sure everything temple-like on this whole mountain.
If anything, I would assume Numera has been affected by what Talos has done. And if the vision is true, we have lots of gods to contend with, and any assistance from other gods is going to be required.
Well, that still raises the previous question. Do you know how to re-enter?
If we can't re-enter, maybe we can find a follower.
Wait,
Tiku thought we were going to some volcanic
As I think about
island.
Citharan, be like, well, that's probably not a choice.
The problem
I
is
thought we were going to
the only people
Cinderhold.
that can go to the Cinder Isle are the people that are invited by the church.
This search, if we can't re-enter the temple, I'll try here in a moment and see if the doorway opens. But if we can't enter it, it will take some time to research. As I would assume Talos has probably tried to reduce the influence that Numara has, considering it seems the shrine shows a close relationship between these three gods.
Wasn't there only one temple?
There was three as we entered.
No, it's definitely three.
One shrine, 3 temples.
And we specifically went to the wind one?
Yes.
Am I crazy? Did I just forget something?
Yes.
So you guys were on a longer walk drive. There was a fountain, and then there was 3 separate paths that went. One went to the Temple of Syri, and then the other 2 temples.
Oh, yeah, and then we just decided to go with one first. We almost split up.
Zephyr did
Got it.
feel pulled towards one, for what that's worth. But
Felt the connection to one. which was right around, so
Has
felt pulled to the other.
Talos' storm changed at all?
no, the storm is still. It would have subsided a bit.
Can we see the
No, so actually, I would actually give you. It has not only subsided a little bit, but it's only subsided a little bit where you are. More northward, it seems more intense.
You mean where
it's almost
he
like,
is.
almost like wherever. It's like the center of the storm is traveling.
So
Are you doing this, Zephyr?
No. I don't believe so.
I think that was the flying guy that zapped the whole mountain with lightning.
It seems to be calmer here.
Yeah,
And-
because he zapped this place and he moved on.
Maybe.
All right, you had your hand raised. So I'm gonna go to you next.
Oh, mine was about the Talos storm. So, someone else asked it.
Oh,
Did-
it's the same question. Okay, so now you
is
know
this? Can we see the stone altar, which is like basically?
No,
held
again,
out
the
to-
whole cliff face where you guys were is completely destroyed. The lightning bolt that hit was not an illusion, and it very much so just evaporated. Stone, everything.
I think they think we're dead.
Vaporized would be the right word.
Well, I mean,
Well-
there would be he, right?
My point was is like, yeah, it destroyed it, but
Just
didn't-
Talos, right?
Wait,
Talos and his champion.
you might as well go try to get in.
I will
Talk away.
attempt to commune with the now missing shrine, and see if I can open the doorway.
So the shrine is definitely destroyed.
Yeah.
If there is a point to commune with it, your only conclusion is that you'd have to go down basically into the basin that effectively was created.
I'm just fishing for like a connection.
Okay,
to it,
go ahead and
but
make a religion check to see if you can feel a connection. And
It's a
sorry.
super long shot.
what was your question?
I'm just kind of like confused because you were like the circle, like the guy was standing on the shrine, and I thought you effectively said he like lightning bolted all of us, but in order to hit the shrine, he would have had to done it like on top of him.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
If you can't lightning bolt yourself,
He did. He completely destroyed that entire cliff face.
means
So
we need
it's
to
about
lightning.
a 100-foot radius, so about a 200 foot circle is just taken out of it to where it's just
He didn't want us to go
The
into the
200-foot
temple.
circle was centered on the shrine.
yes. So technically, it'd only be about 100
He didn't want us to
or so
know.
feet inward into
He
land.
didn't want us to know his bad deeds.
He seemed to destroy the stuff. What was your religion check?
It is a 19.
19. Not only do you not feel a connection, you are confident it's gone. Whatever religious connection was here or power was destroyed with whatever that blast was. That lightning.
How did we leave then? Because we were in the final room with the snake. Did we just open a door and we were outside again?
Yes. That is exactly what happened.
Welcome to fun magic.
It seems the only answers we're gonna get from Numera is we can find the
Imagine the
church.
cliff face is the top of a cookie,
I have not heard
and
of this.
somebody just took a chomp out of it.
Effectively, yes. That's
I
what
have
the
not
place
heard of this god, so I doubt a church for them exists.
I assume, as I have been found by Ravron, Numera maybe has found some of her own.
That is possible.
But
But that would be under
we're talking about a needle in a haystack. I was the only follower of Raivaron for a while.
Well,
I have not found any others that I haven't influenced myself.
you did promise, well, you did offer me a conversation, so how about I start with the Gravekeeper? How do you know he's real?
We've seen him.
You just saw him.
And
Well,
what
yes, but you've seen him before.
What did
Clearly.
you...
We've actually seen him.
My first question, what did you see with the cube?
I mean, technically, the snake knocked him out, so maybe
The snake
didn't
would
say
have
anything.
ended it before you had a chance, but effectively, what we're gonna say there, you played out a reality where someone attacked the snake and he killed all of you. For what it's worth, very quickly.
I saw Gurgle attack and the aftermaths of that.
That's what happens when you're going to.
Let's say this.
Why did you
Since-
attack, Gurgle?
I'd say that's accurate.
It was a snake.
Fair.
I mean, to be totally honest, I'm gonna probably kill him anyway.
Speaking of,
So-
what
so
is
that-
that cube?
That cube... apparently, Seth was the creator of the cube, the trapped the Gravekeeper. It has interesting powers, and if you can overcome its influence, it can give you answers, or even
Trap a god?
let you visit the inhabitant.
Or it can just make you,
The inhabitant being the Gravekeeper.
or it can just make you catatonic, and then when you come out,
There is a risk.
you're a little dumber for like
There
a
is
while.
a risk of going comatose and probably dying. So we try not to bring it out in the open.
Who was it? Who was it that looked at it and then came out and they were like dumber for a while, like they couldn't talk? I feel like that happened to somebody.
We don't talk about that.
You were with him. That was on the mountain.
That was when you and me looked into it.
That's
We were
when
the
it
only
felt
two that
weird.
looked in.
But just to put the pieces together, we have the cube that Talos trapped the Gravekeeper in.
And I guess we need to find...
So that is the cube that we saw in the vision.
Yeah, just to put the pieces together for you, because you've already seen it.
The general group consensus is that it's a prison holding the Gravekeeper.
Most
Who
of
wants
us,
to release him? I think most of us are undecided.
most of us has talked to him by now.
And the snake said that someone else.
What's that noise?
Is that the cube reverberating?
No.
That's thunder? That's what it sounds like to me.
There's two.
Oh.
It's theming. I apologize. I'll turn it down. Give me a second. You'll figure it out.
Okay. No, we're good.
The snake said that
Do
someone
we actually hear
else
anything off-putting?
No. It's just rain and thunder. I threw tree off.
unlocked an additional one. So you've already unlocked some.
We had found one with a now ex-friend, Theron. He gotten
one who
it
been-
out of a battle royale of sorts. Razu references it as the games.
Death games.
Yes.
I assume I haven't heard of these.
No.
Okay.
Kigo was in it too.
Somebody also met him in a vision
And
recently.
then there appeared to be a second key placed by I do not know who or how they would even get it there.
Seth said you would meet them soon.
You,
May be good for answers.
I just want to be clear to everybody here. I don't trust that snake.
I wonder if they've been
Tickle
called
doesn't
to
either.
the battle as well. in Zinderhold.
Also, the only people that have known about
What the hell are we talking about?
the only people that we know that have had any interest in the cube is the Alchemist Guild, which we all don't like.
I mean, I also have a friend back in Zoprakar.
Yeah, but he's never actually seen it. You told us about him.
I'm saying there's probably more fanatics.
So
But
what
I'm saying the only people that could have had access to it is Gust. Is that his name? Lizard.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we've had the cube for a long time.
It was Gus.
Then
Just Gus.
Gus. Gus had the cube for a while. He gave it back to me. He took it from us after we fought the dragon on the wall.
I'm trying to think. Did we meet the Gravekeeper between those two?
No, we met them.
The two
We met him
events.
before.
You met the Gravekeeper just
Yeah.
before the wall
Yeah.
when you guys were staying at the inn. So you guys were staying at the inn, and then you
Like
had the encounter where
a
you went
day
into it,
before
and then
we
I
fought
had
Weird.
all of you guys go into it. And then so technically you met the Gravekeeper before the events with Weirn even
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
we,
yeah, yeah.
but then
Well,
we
I was
all
trying to
went
think.
back again.
I was thinking we.
But
went
then
a
we all
second
went
time,
back
though.
again.
The second time was the events with Weirn. So Gus had then taken the cube, and then the events with Weirn played out. And so technically Razu and Gurgle went in. Razu went catatonic. He actually didn't encounter the Gravekeeper in that run-in. And then the
Yeah,
next
but-
time is when you all went in.
But then
Also,
we
there
lost.
was one
but
time
then we
ago
lost
when
the
we
cube.
got the third.
But then we lost the cube.
We had. Yeah.
But then we lost it at some point. I can't remember exactly when. We lost it at some point after we were in fight, because he didn't actually take it right at the Weirn fight. I remember something to the effect of the alchemist guy that I'm forgetting the name
Terrell.
of. Terrell. He said let them keep it when the guy was going to take it. One of the two hooded figures. He said let them keep it for now. They're heroes of the city or something like that, and they didn't actually take it then.
You lost it before that.
But
because
somebody
Gus
knew.
didn't.
I didn't know because I was unconscious at the time. But somebody here heard it.
Me and well, sit there
I'm
and
pretty
you
sure I
lost
know
it.
when it happened. Basically, we went down to Gus, and it was our first interaction with Gus.
But then we lost it. After
He
that.
saw it, went catatonic, and
And then it disappeared. The next day.
specifically,
I think he's
we
right.
went to sleep, woke up, and I'm pretty sure it was on my person at that time, and I searched for it, and it was just gone.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when Zephyr
That-
went in it.
that
though.
is-
And then later on, right
Yeah.
before the fight, he brought it back to me and gave it to me.
He gave it to you on the mountaintop, is where he produced it. And then you and Zephyr looked at it.
It's the first time. He also gave it to us in an alleyway the second time when we were moving our way towards Valbergen.
That's true. That one, as a reminder, was when you guys were in the tavern, when it almost seemed to reverse on itself. And the closer you got to the cube, the more the room
Yeah.
seemed to distort. You guys have lost it twice, and it was given back to you both times by a hooded individual who you assume is Gus and never got confirmation because you can never actually see his face. All you know that he had red scales on his hand.
Which is definitely different than his blue scales, but it just seemed like him.
So,
That is how that played out.
Also, he was kind of dead when we left him the first time that
So-
he saw it.
Gurgle, should we inspect that thing you're holding?
For a moment, you guys continue to talk. I need you to come upstairs with me for a second.
so
I'm going to cast Identify on it, just so you know.
Sorry, what?
The obsidian egg
iron.
key.
Oh,
He's talking about the iron. It's not
So-
obsidian.
Next steps.
go to Cinderhold. Probably reconvene in Zoprakar first.
No, we had to go to the tournament thing, yeah?
In Cinderhold.
Oh, shit.
we
You're
do-
right.
We do need to stop by Zoprakar on the way. I actually would also like to stop and visit my town.
It's kind of annoying that we're getting pulled in so many directions. I'd prefer
And
to
then
go
we go to the Cinder Isles.
Cinder Isles right now.
way to Cinder Isles.
We need to go to Cinderhold first.
To get rid of this thing.
That's where we need to go for the next key for your mission. Also, I need to visit the Obsidian Heart.
Didn't you hear the Colosseum calling you?
I mean, we still do have a little time.
Where are we going to put this thing? Gurgle can't just keep carrying it around.
I thought
It's not
the
that big. It's not that big. He said it was like this big.
I thought the Cinder Isles
like
was
this
a
big, but
3-year
you-
excursion.
I was right.
What was that?
Wasn't the Cinder Isles a 3-year excursion?
For Theron it was because he was going on a quest, not because it actually takes 3 years to get there.
It was a pilgrimage. They stop at.
Do we put this in the bag of holding?
Should I ask Dalaran if there's another way in?
I mean,
The only way in is through the church.
Exactly, so should I confirm with Dalaran if he could get us another way in?
I feel like that's not something you do over a sending stone.
Why not?
Or you just take the trial.
Which would take 3 years.
What's the trial?
we.
We could go as guests.
I mean, we can join them on a pilgrimage, but that would be a long trip.
That would have to wait until after we go to the tournament. Otherwise, you guys will get hunted.
Well, I mean, Razu would be.
Didn't somebody else join him?
I mean, I didn't.
What?
No. Who's all part of your fighting party?
The Crimson Covenant? Or the Colosseum?
For the Colosseum.
Dalaran,
Asking who
Theron,
joined
me.
who joined the 15th seat.
Oh, you may need to replace the Theron.
True.
Apologies. I'm back.
Alright, cast identify on it.
The obsidian, or sorry, the iron block that you got is a container. You don't know what's in the middle of it, but this is a titanium container containing something in the middle of it.
Oh, this is expensive.
Titanium.
Well, worst case scenario, we could sell it for a lot.
Put in the necklace.
Let me real quick.
Yeah.
So a couple things with this, because due to the fact of the identity, this is a magically sealed container. It is like contain it? Is that right? It's effectively a chest. It's a titanium chest orb. Also worth noting, it's like 50 pounds. It's fairly heavy for some of you. For some of you, that's not that bad at all, but for some, that's pretty bad. So there's a sealing spell on it to the point that you're confident you cannot break it unless you break the magic, or you just have something insane. Potentially a titanium weapon, maybe with proper.
Hey, Razu.
Like, there is potential though, as it effectively would be taking a sword. If you have an iron sword and you have an iron block, and you're just hitting the iron block with iron, like.
Let's see what breaks
Can you
first.
damage it? Yes, but like your sword better be real good.
Razor's
if you want it to
weapon
break.
isn't pure titanium.
I was joking.
It's only coated in titanium.
I'm not going to make him sacrifice his beautiful weapon.
But again, you do know this is a container. There's something in the middle of it.
So he said to bring this to the Cinder Isles. And okay, so how long would it take to get to this?
Cinder Isles. So you guys actually figured this out during the 2-year downtime. Citharan actually went to the Cinder Isles. He went to this volcano. It's about a 2-week sail from Zinderhold.
Yeah, it does seem like that's going to be a little too long as we are mapping it out.
So we still have, you guys still have 3 months before you have to go to Zinderhold.
I don't know how much time has passed.
You guys traveled through the mountains.
It was
for
3
2
months
weeks.
from the start, and
So
now
it's
it's been
2.5
however long
months.
it's been.
2.5.
Also, one thing worth noting: when a challenge is issued, it's not that your challenge is in 3 months; it's that you must report to face the challenge within 3 months. So you guys could technically go to Zinderhold early as well.
Yeah.
So I was just making sure you guys knew that it's not like we have to be
more
there
the-
in 3 months. It's sometime in the next 3 months.
So ultimately, what we're considering is going, figuring out this whole Cinder Isles thing with this key. Another option we may have is I believe it was Theric that was. He was handy with titanium, made that golem out of it. Maybe he would know how to get into this.
At this point, you hear well, I might be able to help with that. What do you look like right now?
You see a cloaked figure, hood down with a serpent staff.
Rickshaw! It's another snake, attack it!
I'm so sick of seeing
Are you-
snakes.
Are you a follower of Seth?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's odd.
He does look familiar, though.
I do have a certain set of skills that might.
You're not talking to your mic.
I do have a certain set of skills that might be of value to you.
Okay, what do you look like?
I told you what I look like.
just a hooded figure.
It's a hooded figure down low.
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing a black cloak with purple robes. A thin metal staff that goes up and curves into a hooded cobra.
Can I do a combination of an insight and a perception check? Perception to see what he actually looks like. Insight to see if he's hostile.
I'm going to say this.
Go for
Minimum.
I'm gonna roll against my stealth
Red is
as I am
perception.
trying to just hide my face.
Why are people just popping out of nowhere? This
That's
seems
24.
also sketch.
At this moment, you do recall that Seth said he would send someone to you. So he just told you he would send someone for you.
But he says he's not a follower.
Why are we even trying?
So I'm very confused now.
And it's just that was just one thing I mentioned.
That's rough, buddy. That's rough.
Very hard to tell.
I got 2 nat ones.
I'm gonna assume
So this
Seth
orb
sent
doesn't
you.
have a lock or anything on it?
just the staff really seems to scream that to me.
You're not sure how to.
Perhaps, but I don't serve Seth. But perhaps the person I do serve does.
Then who do you serve?
No, I
Himself?
serve the master.
And answer this like we need a name, and answer it carefully.
I'm afraid if I say that name, you will not accept my help. But do rest assured, I only have the best intentions for the party.
Utilizing that logic, they should not accept your help out of hand because you're not willing to answer.
Who are you?
My name is Kane. I am currently traveling
I
with them as we
hate
explore the temple.
Those words.
But are you not also a member of this party? You're not a member of this party either,
I am
yeah?
not. Truthfully, I was actually going to ask if I could travel with them a little longer, although I wanted them to answer a question first.
So why would they trust you more than me?
Because I have already assisted them in combat.
Well, allow me to do the same. Give me the same opportunity and
However-
allow me to prove myself.
I told
You're
them my
apparently really
master's
hard to
name.
hear. You should pull your mic just a little bit closer.
Allow me the same honor to prove myself.
But I told them my master's name.
Again, my master's name comes with some baggage.
Don't worry, girls. You're both pretty.
Oh,
Let me guess.
I look him up down. Not from you, tragedy.
Let me guess. Asmodeus.
Oh, good guess, but no. My master is far
If-
more insidious.
If you don't want to tell us, I guess that's fine. But why are you here?
Again, because you asked for aid, and
you going-
aid was sent.
Are you going to help with this? So I point at the obsidian.
It's not obsidian. It's
Or not obsidian, I meant
titanium.
titanium. sorry.
Titanium, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And how do you expect to do that?
Well, I've seen that before.
I don't like how you're looking at it seductively.
Oh, it's just fantastic memories. So fun.
I mean, I repeat.
It was with my best friend.
Still not any better.
We realize this was given to us by a snake that we don't like, that we're probably helping only because
And
he happens to be the way to get what we want.
the enemy of my enemy.
For the sake of this, I want you to go ahead and make a persuasion check real quick. And I believe you have the highest passive insight, right?
That's a 21.
I have a 19, I know that.
I have a 16.
Okay, so
You're
actually, with the
talking
21,
insight?
you would actually just be able to convey yourself very well. I would say that you very much so get the sense, in a similar fashion to Seth, very much so wants to help. Very much so is not for your same goal, but for his goal.
Very self-interest, yeah.
So, with deductive
But for
reasoning,
your benefit as well.
that it
What's
would.
the cost?
The cost is neither here nor there. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I would like to know it now.
How tall are you?
If I'm going to be making a deal with the devil.
I am 6'4".
Oh, big guy.
So, if he doesn't want to tell us his name,
Are
he
you
carries-
skinny or not?
Yes, I am. I am 143 pounds.
Oh,
He looks
skinny.
like Trinity in a cloak.
Very skinny. Okay.
Ultimately, what's your directive here? Like,
To aid you.
but more than
Is
that.
it-
So you did have a specific mission.
What's
to
your
call,
what's the
to assist
end
them
goal here?
in releasing the Great Keeper.
Is
Oh,
the,
that's right.
Is
yes,
the
right.
orb
in freeing the Gravekeeper.
Razu.
is the orb
It
specifically?
does sound like so much fun.
So your guys' goal is to free
No
the
key.
Gravekeeper.
no key, no
It's-
hole, no mechanism.
My enemy is Talos, and the only way to have Talos pass from this world is with the power of the Gravekeeper, as no gods can pass without his power.
Yet.
I think I could jump by off by his knees.
That's ominous.
He looks so skinny.
You could do that.
Well, if you
11.
think about it in a realm of gods and other more powerful beings, nothing's impossible.
You have my full permission.
What are you two conspiring over there?
It effectively looks like this. You figure out it looks like a D20.
conspiracies.
I have a theory.
So
So, he won't tell us, and he carries baggage to the entire group. He works for Malice.
Tiku's gonna pull
Think
Trevor
about
aside.
it. In the games, which her and me were the only ones that were in, he was also in the games. He gave us the cube, and the snake
He was also a snake
is
person,
operating it all.
and
He works for Malice, who works for the snake.
Tiku's gonna pull Zephyr aside while they're debating this. And Tiku's gonna say, he looks pretty skinny.
Malice,
The,
Malus.
the guy that
that what you're talking
rescued Dad.
That's Malus, not Malice.
Saga introduced him as Malice. We don't actually know his real name's Malice.
True.
He said it was Mollis. Hold that thought for a second. Let them finish, and then you guys
Just
can do
really
yours.
quick. You can put in. He looks pretty skinny. I bet you I could chop his legs off. He said go for the knees.
Oh, I do love my legs, though.
So if he does anything fishy, and I'm gonna be hiding, like, I'll stay behind him. I'll stay in the back. I'll chop his legs off.
What if I wear stilts?
We're on the side.
But I do have good hearing.
So you just make a stealth check, or you make a perception check. So first off, what was your question, and then you
Oh
and
goodness.
you
They would
and
be talking about
Roz can have your
Malice at the same
conversation.
time.
I was
So maybe-
I
Oh,
was
no!
correcting that it's Malus, not Malice, but
Oh, look at this.
Ooh.
so
I'm working on it.
if you have Thieves' Tool, you can attempt to unlock a magical lock, but it's up to DM's discretion if it doesn't actually have a lock, whether you can even attempt it.
I would say you have to discern that it has a lock. If this has a lock and you're able to discern, oh, there's a magical lock on this, like what it is, then I would say you could attempt it. He simply knows via his identification that there's magic on it that's keeping it sealed
you
and
got-
together. So it's not that there's a magical lock. It's literally like a spell
I
that's a
got
seal.
Right, like arcane lock.
No,
Which isn't
not
an
exactly.
actual lock.
It'd be glyph. Technically, would be the best description for this. Actually, to be fair, you would actually know that the spell that's on this is glyph, which means that there's a trigger that opens this.
This could be very dangerous to tamper with. Who knows what the trigger is?
Did Identify not reveal that to you?
It tells me that there is a glyph, but not what the glyph's been set to do. I would assume so. I think that's how we're playing it.
Well, glyph would be a magical trap, would it not?
Tiku, from this point forward.
A glyph will you can
It's actually not the spell.
store a magical spell on it that triggers at whatever the caster wields it to.
Which would be similar to like a magical trap, right?
Could be an alarm, could be an explosion.
Or it could be.
It could
Would
be
you-
an instant death spell.
Yes.
Would you
what I'm-
perhaps-
It also
saying,
could
though,
be
is,
like-
you can-
Allow
you can
me
still
to
attempt
trigger
disarm
it, since I am exposable to you at this moment, as proof of my loyalty to the party.
Okay, everyone just stand back. Let him tamper with it. Everyone cool with that?
Don't we need to bring whatever this is to the iron? To the.
I think
to the
we
obsidian
need
heart?
what's inside of it.
I want the outside of it.
Can we ask?
Why would I release something
What is
when
inside?
we don't know what's inside of it?
It's probably a key to the Gravekeeper.
We're just trying to get into it.
Does he
When
know?
we
Get
key
into
to
it
the
right now.
Gravekeeper, then he wouldn't have sent us to the obsidian heart where he said the key to the Gravekeeper was.
Does he know what is
Alright.
inside?
I don't know, but first I'm going to cast False Life on myself.
From this point on, Tiku is going to be.
Giving myself
Behind
1d4 plus 29, so I
the
got
newcomer.
32
Go, girl.
temporary
It's
hit
up-
points.
It's up to you at this point
Damn.
what you do with it. If you don't want to hand it to him, then don't hand it to him. I'll trust your feelings on this.
You apparently have inspiration.
I will now be casting guidance on myself.
Thank you, Ali.
Alright, and now I am ready to activate this.
I'm gonna be 120 feet back just in case it's another lightning bomb.
What are you gonna do? Because what the activation is can be, you don't know.
Well, good luck.
I don't know. Am I
So I would
able
say-
to decipher the glyph?
So, 100.
So if you want to try and decipher if you want to wish to try and decipher what the lock is, it'd be investigation.
Okay.
What the trigger is literally decided by the caster.
Oh. The person who cast it.
Yeah, whoever put the glyph on it originally is, so by the exact wording of it, you decide what triggers the glyph when you cast the spell. So figuring out what the trigger is.
That's a 9th
you
level
have-
glyph, by the way.
You wouldn't have in the foggiest
Alright, well, I
of
got a
idea.
13 on my investigation.
An investigation 13. If he didn't identify it to tell you that it was a lock, it would just be a big rock. Like, this is doesn't even really seem to be a lock. And again, it seems just like an oddly circle, resembles a D20. It kind of odd of its shape, but yeah. If he didn't tell you with his investigation check that it had glyph on it or that it was some kind of container, you would never know. No, 'cause I
Oh.
didn't remember it. It's my bad.
I tried touching where the glyph would be. Just tapping it.
You actually wouldn't know where the glyph is. You know, it's currently. So the only way
You're
to
just touching every face of it.
So to explain glyph, the glyph is nearly invisible. Requires an investigation check high enough against the spell DC to actually find it. The only reason you even know it's on there is because he did it. He cast it.
I'm gonna cast Toll the Dead on it. Actually, can I even cast Toll the Dead on it? Nope,
You're gonna
it's gotta
cast
be a
what on
creature.
it? Sorry.
Can't. It's got to be a creature.
This might be a creature. Maybe it's a dragon egg.
Your idea, the idea would be that either the only ways to trigger this, unless you just happen to guess the trigger, I'm going to tell you right now. Good luck. Is you would have to dispel the magic on it, and then you'd have to break the Gitanium after it's been dispelled, or you'd have to figure out what the trigger is.
How's that going?
It is proving difficult.
Of course.
I thought you said you could do it.
They thought I could do it.
You couldn't do it. I said, let me give me it. Let me give it a try.
What was that?
I'd have a better chance than you currently.
If you're gonna die, what's your name?
My name, as I throw my hood back, revealing the bald, slightly green-scaled face, is Rickshaw.
I fucking knew it. You're welcome.
The serpent
God
staff didn't
damn
tip
it.
you off?
Not.
I kiss
No,
it.
no. What really made me was the freaking like.
No.
I'll do whatever I need to for the party. You fuck.
To make you feel better, this wasn't his idea. This was my idea.
You
What
fuck.
level is this man? Ooh. This man might be able to wreck our shit.
No, he's just our level.
Oh, okay.
May I
I'd still be able to wreck
It's-
your shit.
It's how
If you don't remember my abilities.
may I see it?
This is more of like, again, 650 pounds. You're not just.
Not very.
my inner
We
thing.
have a returning NPC.
I cut my
Now
hand,
plays your player
drip my
character.
blood on it, and use Grimm's.
You know, it'd be great though if it's me and him were best friends.
Oh, in this campaign?
You're like
Yeah,
legit
that
best
would be.
friends.
That would be. This party does seem more up Rickshaw's alley than our previous party, to be totally honest. Especially with what freaking Razo just did, man, in his vision.
I'd let you make a check for it.
But you. Why are you rolling 2?
Because it says I get advantage on the roll.
Oh.
It's his feature for sure. He's good.
For a grand total of 12.
Grand total of 12. Go ahead and take your bright damage. And as Razu takes it, Razu himself actually being quite strong, he kind of takes it, and his scythe still being on his back, he just takes his hand and just like runs it along the scythe and just and cuts it, and then his blood just kind of trickles down the sides of this titanium sphere, this case, as it spills off the side and drips onto the ground. It seems to the blood almost seems to pool unnaturally. It's more blood is on the ground than what Razu is actually bleeding.
Razu, I think you went a little too deep.
My eyes are closed.
That's what she
At
said.
this point, the blood seems to almost build up and seems to resemble that of a mountain.
As this is happening, I'm checking for a pulse.
Make a medicine check. The blood kind of builds up into a mountain.
He's done this before, Zephyr.
Yeah, but that's a lot of blood. I have no clue. That's a 4.
He thinks he's dying.
I think he might have passed.
he might be dead. Okay, so with that, as the blood kind of goes up into the silhouette of a mountain, you see the small images of what appears to be humanoids, and then some dragons. What appears to be almost beast-like, like centaurs. It effectively just looks like a large group of individuals made of tiny little, they're almost like tiny carapaces of blood that represent these. And Razu, you, for the rest of you, you're kind of like having to really focus on this. For you, you almost have a supernatural sight of it, as there's this group of, you just recognize it. It is that same group of gods that you just saw. One of them, specifically Bane, seems to have all 4 of his hands clasped onto some kind of large rock. It looks like a molten rock. There's veins of fire and lava that seem to be bleeding from it, and he seems to be pushing it together. Right next to him is both the Wild Mother, Lathander, Mistra, and Azoth, who all seem to be casting some kind of a spell. It kind of gives you the idea that they're trying to keep whatever Bane is holding and trying to compress. They're all trying to keep this thing in whatever this is. Effectively, what you see is them venturing into this what appears to be dormant volcano, going into the depths of the volcano and placing the core there, and seemingly locking it. They take the carapace of whatever this molten rock is, and then they take a small. You actually don't know what it is. It's technically made out of blood. They take some kind of a small orb, they place it in the middle, and then Bane again kind of constructs. Moradin comes over, utilizing his different forge material with the help of Bane, working with effectively utilizing the fires of this volcano. They seem to forge whatever this is over whatever this circle rock image, again, as it's made of blood. You don't entirely know what it is. After they do, they seal it, and then they hand it off, in this case, to Talos. who takes it, and then they all seem to leave the volcano. The blood. As you did not roll that high.
Inspiring. That told us nothing about what's in it, or
Yes,
or
it did.
block.
It was forged in Mordor.
I hate you.
Wrong.
I guess in me fashion, you're stupid.
Wrong universe.
Did more than anybody else.
We have
I'll
found
just put
the
it
one.
in
Stop
my-
it.
I'm pretty sure the Lord of the Rings was an autobiography.
I'll just put it in the bag.
So, Zephyr, you wanted to stop by your village.
Yes, just since we're close by, I wouldn't mind seeing how the family's doing and how the town's doing in general.
All right,
And
let's
we also need to go pick up our merchant friend that headed off ahead of us.
Also,
go.
take it what's hold the
If-
barbecue.
Possible.
Okay, still, why are you here? I'm still not sure what you're...
Again, you
said you were going to help with...
aid.
You said that you were going
And
to help
I
with this.
did try.
I mean, I'm thinking we do the Theric idea if we can, because...
What's a Theric?
He's a creator of the
I'm just kidding.
Titanium.
I know who Theric is. He's my best friend.
Your best friend.
They were arch enemies in the past campaign in Theric's mind, for context, stream.
6.
Rickshaw full on believes he's his best friend.
Seems to be telling the truth.
Oh, well that's handy.
Yes, he was even one of my greatest apostles.
Do you have a way to get a hold of him? To get in contact with him?
Your Theric is showing.
It's hard not to metagame this, okay?
Trinity's pissed.
I'm afraid not at the moment.
You gotta wash that away. Clean shake.
Perhaps if we can get a scroll of sending.
Or something like this.
Do you have a scroll of sending?
I have the paper that can send messages. I still
Oh, a
have,
paper
like, 10
bird.
of those.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, we could definitely contact him for aid. Though I don't know if he'll be able to. He is on a different continent.
I don't know how this work.
I believe it will reach him as long as there's no like magical barrier blocking
Well, yes,
it.
but I mean, if he's capable of reaching this continent.
Oh, I would assume his golem has, so he'd be able to as well.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what's the Theric plan?
Wait.
Created Titanium, so I would assume he'd be the best person.
How about we talk to the golem dude?
To know how to
He
open
knows.
it?
I don't really want to go see. What was the golem's name again? We got
Broshak?
Okay, I'm just making sure. Oh yeah, because for sure Saga gave it to us. Yeah, Broshak. I don't want to go see
Saga! You know Saga too?
that. Yes.
She was a very good companion and business associate.
Trinity's gonna struggle with this.
Borshak probably knows titanium. He was made out of stuff. He could probably
You know
just be like,
Broshak
"Man,
also?
crack Tig open."
Yes.
Also, we could just go to the
tried
center
to kill
island.
us.
Do you know all of the Dawnbringers? I am one. One of the founding members, actually.
How many
I
are
want to do
there?
a history check.
Go for
How
it.
many are there?
He's
This is
kind
on
of
a
a big
different
deal.
continent, though.
Context for you,
Kind of
Jasmine.
deal.
So I already passed on knowing who like the famous Dawnbringers were
Kind of
that
being
made
a
it to
big
the end.
deal.
But I might not know obscure people.
Context for you, Jasmine. The Dawnbringers were the last party from our last campaign. I guess
Ooh.
context for
Oh,
you as
shit.
well. Rickshaw was
awesome.
effectively kicked from their party.
Okay.
In epic fashion. Like,
Yeah.
like whole trial in the
26.
palace. It was epic.
26.
Oh, can I give myself guidance too? Does that work now?
Yes, yes, it does.
So 28.
28. It is. You have never heard of him.
I've never heard of that. Damn, he's been stricken for the records. Derek made sure no one knew his existence.
That's accurate. For
Or probably
personality.
Rickshaw too, probably.
Probably.
I never. I know a lot about the Dawnbringers, and I've never heard about you.
Fake fan.
If you can get me Theric Hammerstone, then I'll believe you.
I still think Berkshire, that thing is. He could just.
I think that's
stick
like
his
a
hand on
mix
it and
of
crack
two
it
different
open.
timelines.
Sorry, what was that, Tiku?
He could stick his hand on it and crack it, or probably absorb it into his arm.
I don't think we
He
want
seemed
that
like kind of a chill dude.
I
No, he
don't-
tried to kill us.
No, he tried to kill Cytherin,
Also, if we open it and there's something inside, I want the
which
case.
you also tried to kill Cytherin. So
Like
if we're
if
judging
Brugdor
him
still
based on
exists,
that,
predates the Dawnbringers.
Also tried killing us. He body slammed a dragon.
Y'all,
He just suplexed it.
that was pretty badass.
Good time.
y'all,
Dragon.
The forest dragon.
It was the guardian over by the Grung village in the swamp.
They ever tell you? So you met Theric? And
No,
just
no.
Broshak.
Just Roshan.
Just Broshak and
Broshak wasn't with
Shaga.
Theric?
No, he was with Saga and someone named Malik.
Mollusk.
Mollusk.
How many
Mollusk.
times I gotta tell you guys it's Mollusk?
Mollusk.
Mollusk. Yes, it is indeed Mollusk. I know him too.
Didn't Saga
This is a bit.
tell us the
Why
names
do you know
of
him?
Mollusk,
Not really.
and Rickshaw was one of them?
Wait. Why do
Saga
you-
knew him. If he knows him, then that makes sense.
What? He's the Prime.
Okay, pretend I'm dumb.
Oh, I'm not pretending.
see, I told you he worked for Mollusk. My theory was correct.
Gurgle, are you okay with this?
I have nothing to hide. So I do believe the cat's out of the bag. This clever one did figure it out. I do work for Mollusk. He is my master. He is the Prime.
Gurgle inner monologue. I like Swedish fish.
I've lost track of this conversation, but these Swedish fish are pretty great.
I'm processing. No.
You're not okay with this. I wouldn't think you would be.
What does okay even mean?
Oh, I have paper birds as well. I forgot about that.
Well, if we're gonna keep chatting, Tiku's gonna start on lunch.
Oh, brilliant. I am famished.
You're good with snake, right?
Yes. Why wouldn't I be?
Tiku was told not to feed races to their race.
Oh, clearly if they died, they're inferior.
All right.
I think Tiku's
I think
now on
we
board
need to
for
have
this.
a meeting. Not you, Kane.
Oh, understandable.
Tiku, you can start on food. Razu, Gurgle, let's talk about this.
I assume I'm part of the meeting too and follow them.
No, Rickshaw, this is about you, not for you.
I'm sorry. My apologies. I misunderstood.
Kane's over there.
I'll go talk with Kane. So, Kane,
No, we have Rickshaw,
Rickshaw.
who is the embodiment of.
have you heard of the Dawnbringers?
I actually have not.
I would have found you member.
No. This is terrible. We have.
Who are they?
Oh, they're a bunch of heroes from the other side of the
We have
world.
Satan
Saved the world a
and
few
his
times.
first
No big
protege,
deal.
right?
Sounds fascinating.
Yes.
May
Even
I
though
ask-
I had to take an early retirement from the group, I did in the end come back and save the day, as it were.
That sounds like a wonderful story, but
It's true.
may I ask how you got here?
Well, you see, divine intervention is sort of a term used.
As far as I was aware, Seth appears to be trapped.
Yes, but his power is still there. He's still intact. He just can't physically move. I mean, gods, what's really trapped?
How did you get here?
To be candid, I do not know. I just appeared. See, I was in my sanctum of solitude, having a wonderful cup of tea. And then suddenly I was here. But I knew I had like a meeting with the Prime, telling me to assist you. Well, to assist them.
The Prime being Malice.
Yes, the Prime being Malice.
Is his first name Metroid?
You're not here. You're having a meeting.
Sure. They are in fact having a meeting.
So as he goes and
Perhaps we can join the party together.
Perhaps, have you heard of Nature's Children?
Not even
Oh,
slightly.
good God.
so what we're gonna do for the sake of this,
All right.
what we're gonna do for the sake of this
That's
is
this
you
conversation.
Rickshaw is effectively going to go start to regale you with tales of the Dawnbringers from his perspective, as you three sit.
I want to roll my own insight
or
check.
you four. sit
I
down
will
at the
post
meeting.
as a
I gotta pull
throwback.
up some,
We actually have a logo for the Dawnbringers. I will post a logo.
I'm gonna
for fun.
inspiration.
You're gonna inspiration it.
Oh,
28.
Nice.
Best use of an inspiration.
insane.
I am not being freaking converted to this.
I mean, he rolled 2 nat 1s. He rolled a 2.
I rolled 3 nat ones.
You ready for the best part?
He's having a rough night.
He's being entirely truthful.
Oh fuck!
From his point of view. That's the key
He's
word
not even
there.
lying slightly.
Worst use of inspiration.
I kind of laughed inside the moment you said you used it. Okay, so now your guys' meeting. You guys sit down around your pot. Have your conversation.
Mollis and this Rookshaw folk are in league with each other. He effectively tried to destroy your village, and I'm fine with him working for Seth, but I'm not fine with whatever.
I'm not fine with any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine
Not
with
Seth,
making it.
not Rickshaw, not Mollis, none of it.
I think we should just, burn it all.
I am making snake. We could just add him to the pot.
That's a clever use of
You're
words,
not here.
but
You're cooking.
but the
I am cooking here.
I kind of had that you guys went and did it
Okay.
around.
You guys are all around me.
Okay, so we just piled up around you. Okay, that works.
the truth is, I do need to get to the Obsidian Heart. From there,
What's the timeline for that look like? Is it something we need to do before Zinderhold, or?
it's something I would prefer to do as soon as possible. But the truth is, I know that Razu has been called to the Colosseum.
That's only 2 months. Or that's in like 3 months. 2.5 months. Tigger doesn't know time.
Honestly, no offense, Zephyr, but I'm not even sold on releasing the Gravekeeper. The only reason I want to go to the Obsidian Heart cards on the table is I believe that's where my grandfather is being held.
Why was there an
That
in there?
does sound like it's more important than this tournament. Even though I do think we do need to go, but it sounds like we could have enough time.
It's a good thing's enough time.
We no longer have a way to teleport around unless one of these two folk can teleport.
You're not invited back yet, but can either of you teleport?
You guys both did hear that as he yelled at you.
Short distances, yes.
How far is short?
30 feet.
30 feet?
Too short!
Very useful.
No. No, they cannot.
This is the thing. If the party decides...
I never learned that spell because Saga was our teleporter.
If this is what the party wants, I will travel peacefully unless he gives me reason to kill him until we get to the Cinder Isles. But I am not going to commit at that point to helping anymore.
If we decide to kill the snake thing, Gurgle,
I mean,
just wink at Tiku.
I mean,
Tiku will help.
we don't have to bring him with us. I mean,
He has skinny
Seth
legs.
might have said he was here to help us, but we are not required to follow Seth's rules.
Tiku didn't like that snake. Not one little bit.
That's
It's a
partially
lot
because-
of snake, and I didn't like any of it.
Yeah. It's partially because it was looking at you like a lunch.
I know, I usually look at things like that like lunch, but it was big. Tiku is... Realize how small Tiku is sometimes.
What all snakes look at you like, Tiku.
Yeah, but usually Tiku just killed the snake. That snake was huge. In
realize there
Tiku's
was only-
dreams, Tiku kills that snake.
It was
But
only,
in
there was only
reality...
like one size category higher than the one that we fought in my forest, right?
Did you see that snake? One size category. I don't know what that means, but that one was way bigger.
Also, it was 2. That snake was a lot bigger for sure.
Way, way bigger.
But, problem.
Just-
Even if we don't let them, seems like the guy that would just wait 100 feet back behind the carriage and say he was doing his own shit, and then just do the same thing as we do.
I have no problem with killing.
So we kill him right now and add him to the
Slightly.
snake lunch, yeah? That's what Tiku thinks. Or he can come and
We're,
Tiku doesn't
we're not
know.
talking about Kane, right? We're just talking about Rickshaw.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
said.
mean, we shouldn't
I have no,
kill him
I have
needlessly.
I have no problem.
Oh no, Kane's a good guy. He's
No,
he's friends with a
I'm
friend.
talking about Rickshaw. Rickshaw hasn't necessarily done anything wrong that I know of.
Again,
He
Hashtag justice for Rick.
he tried to he tried to attack us in the forest and kill the forest guardian and take over the ground.
Maybe his
That's
master.
technically
did,
not
but-
rickshaw, but I have the same apprehension as you. The problem is as much as I dislike the snake also seemed to know.
So I follow behind you
Why
guys.
I needed to go to the fire, why I needed to go to the Obsidian Heart. So the thing is, I don't like the situation. And as I mentioned before, the moment I get a chance to kill the snake, I will. But
I mean,
The winky.
I have nothing against that.
This is really hard. Has anyone
But good luck trying to kill a god
Can you wink?
without the Gravekeeper.
turns out all you need is this fancy-looking dagger, apparently.
No, because he was weakened by the Gravekeeper. He played nice until he made him old.
Convenient we have a cube that holds the Gravekeeper then.
Can you stuff more people in that thing?
We don't know anything about the cube.
Except that the Gravekeeper's in it.
And that it's a prison. It could lock his power up, too.
Well, conveniently, he wants to release it anyway.
So your vote is we bring the snake guy, but then we stab him in the back. Or in
Not
Tiku's case,
necessarily.
in the back of the knees.
Again, I don't know anything about this rickshaw, and he hasn't directly given me anything that makes me want to kill him, other than the fact that he works for somebody that I want to kill. But
So, when you want to kill him, Tiku just follows along behind, always behind. And when you want to kill him, you just wink at Tiku.
that'll work. Point is, to answer your question, Zephyr.
Zephyr
Again,
winks.
I'm not committed to this release the Gravekeeper thing. My original
Anyone
goal
can take
was to release my grandfather and to find justice for my family. But if justice for my family puts friends at risk, then I would be happy just releasing my grandfather. That being said, I still don't like the situation. I don't like Rookshaw. I don't like anything that they stand for. And I don't like the situation, so I am going to be on guard the whole time.
I agree
But,
with you.
but at the same
should
time, we might need whatever the snake thinks we need because I don't know how to get this stupid thing open.
Apparently he doesn't either. But he does have contacts with Theric.
Well, and he also knows what it
Supposedly.
is at the very least.
Hold up. He said one of the initial members. Doesn't that mean he got kicked out?
I mean,
Not-
founding members.
Not necessarily.
He said.
He said he's one of the founding members. It's not necessarily.
But I
he
think
got
he's full of
kicked
shit because I've never heard of him.
Point being, if you know about them, he says he knows them and can get in contact with them.
Maybe
But I'm
he's-
just saying. I'm
maybe
just saying.
he's like their
it wouldn't-
financial backer.
It wouldn't be inaccurate to say.
It's like
that
a
it's
glorified
Theron-
secretary.
Well, he just stays like in the shadows. He didn't want to get his hands dirty. He does
wouldn't-
look kind of
It
clean.
wouldn't be inaccurate to say Cytherin was a part of the Cubix was a founding member of the Cubix Ascenders if he was still around. That doesn't necessarily mean he got kicked out. We didn't kick him out.
Yeah, we killed him.
That's against my advice, but he did also attack us after things started getting serious. So
Tico didn't want to kill him either.
Anyway,
I wanted to
trying
knock him out.
point is,
But my god, killing that man was hard.
It's true.
Tico went like psycho on that dude and he still took forever to take down. I still didn't kill him.
so I get from
Who killed
I'm
him?
fine with traveling with them until the Cinder Isles. That's my answer.
Duties.
Well,
that sounds fine enough.
but we want to travel to the Cinder Isles first before we go back to Zaprakar and
That's the
then to
problem.
Cinderhold.
We have 2.5 months before we even need to show up. It should be fine. Let me talk to Dalaran and see if we can get in
If we could
without going through the church.
if we could get some wyverns to come,
Our way.
like, help us up on the way back, or even, I mean, we could go back to Zaprakar, pick up some wyverns and fly over. It looks like the storm's clearing out, so it might be safe.
You said it was going.
Sending
north.
wyverns into the storm isn't safe
That's
at
not
all. What do you
clearing out,
mean?
That's literally going back into our
Sending
way.
wyverns to pick us up in this
We're
storm is
south
not
of
safe
them.
at all.
No, I said
I
the
know,
storm-
but
the
if we
storm
go back
is
north, then
dissipating.
we'd fly through it again.
Did we
Did
we take the wyverns
To the edge of the storm? I don't
If
know.
you look out there, it's still.
You guys didn't even use wyverns.
Alright.
You guys used a
clearing.
carriage.
The whole way.
So,
Go
we're
to
taking them with
Cinderhood.
us until the Cinder Isles. And I'm
On
supposed to tell Dalaran
Well,
to bring wyverns where?
I mean, once we figure out where we're going to the Cinder Isles, we can have them send some wyvern riders to bring some wyverns to us, and then we could, you know, catch a ride on the way back. It'll save us some time.
I bet you the church has a teleport to the Cinder
Okay.
Isles. We could just see. You guys are like big shots in Cinderhold, right?
They don't have a teleporter to the Cinder Isles.
Also, quick reminder for you: the Cinder Isle, or so the actual volcano at the center of the Cinder Isles, is considered an extremely religious place, to the point that like you have to be effectively a clergy to even gain entry into the Cinder Isles. The only reason he was able even to accompany, he wasn't even able to enter the volcano, was because his wife
pretty
was
sure the
already
only way we're getting
3
there-
years
Yeah.
into her clergy journey. So
Pretty
the
sure-
Cinder Isles is not a hey, we're going to the Cinder Isles. It's like a request that is approved by the king, that is religious in backing,
Or we sneak in.
or that.
We can
But if
try
you're
the
gonna do that,
official
you
route
probably would want to
first.
send message to Dalaran.
So, I mean, at
Pretty
this
sure
point,
the only way we're getting
So
in
we
is
need
if
to send-
if we want to get there and out before your guys' deadline. we're gonna have to get a boat to ferry this there
Question.
unsanctioned.
Well, we could send to Dalaran. We gotta go to your city.
Is it? Shoot, I'm forgetting to-
See if we
the
can
god's
get
name.
anything.
Morden?
Yeah,
Namara?
Morden. Yeah. Was Morden among the crowd of people?
Every major god you know
That
of
is
was among that
existence
crowd. Moradin was
currently,
absolutely one of them. In fact, again, for the thing that he saw when they were whatever they were creating this key is,
Oh,
Moradin
my.
was literally the one who seemed to create this lock that you guys currently have.
I'm almost wondering if we go to take this key over to the Cinder Isles, we may already be at odds with the church.
Why don't we just ask the king?
Moradin's not gonna like
I
it.
believe that may be risky.
Moradin.
Why not just tell him the truth? Just be like, yo, check it out. We've got this titanium thing. And he'll believe us because titanium is important.
We're killing the gods.
Problem
He
is,
probably doesn't like
But if
We're not telling him we're killing gods.
but if Morden
We just say we have a matter involving
Right.
gods and we need to get to the mountain.
Roger.
Moradin
One problem.
handcrafted that
One big
shit.
problem.
If
If you bring a titanium cube to the city, and
yeah,
you tell
we'll
the
never
king,
get it back.
you tell the king, I have a titanium in the city. No, even if they gave it back, and you said I have to take it to the Cinder Isles, who's going with us?
what clergy guy? You mean?
Maybe
No, who would the king send with us?
the Wyvern
think it through.
Riders.
No, who's the one guy they would for sure send with us?
The Wyvern Riders?
No. The head of the church, the champion of Moradin. The moment you produce that thing in front of a champion of Moradin, if Moradin made it, and we're trying to do something that's against Moradin's will, think about
Speaking
it.
of gods
More than
and
major god? Oh,
Morden is a
Morden
major
a
god. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not really thinking it through, Rouser. Like the moment,
Morden was a major god.
the moment that we walk in there with this thing, Morden
we might
knows
be
that
dead.
we have his key, and we're bringing
Speaking
it to
of
the one
the
place
one
that
you
apparently
have
the
to
key
do.
can be opened.
His name is Drumus, by the way.
we're
It's
going
forged.
I can't help it.
It's definitely you.
It sounds.
So, we're going to sneak in.
It's more I think about it, the more I think that may be what we'd have to do, which means
Speaking
we're
of-
gonna be on our own, and
We put it in the bag. I don't want to carry this thing. It's like a good magnet of.
it's
We
sounding
already
like-
got lightning zapped one time.
So-
I don't like that.
It's sounding like this is gonna be a long trip if we're gonna pull this one off.
Why are we even why are we listening to the snake?
I mean,
We have to go to
potentially
this
don't
in their
have to.
isles for this guy anyway.
Why are we taking him to the mountain? He didn't even tell us why.
To crack it open and get the key to unlock the Great
The thing
Keeper.
is, though, is I am kind of
The
curious.
key is there.
Tiku brings up a good point unintentionally, but the truth is why is my grandpa locked in the Cinder Isles, the most sacred place in all of Zapakar?
Holy shit, what if your grandpa also wanted to free the Great Keeper?
I don't know about that, but
Conspiracy.
Are you all still having your secret meeting?
You're currently regaling tales of Tom Fingers.
And that's how I defeated the three-headed T-Rex dragon and saved Theric.
T-Rex dragon. I've
A three-headed T-Rex. Not dragon.
Does,
T-Rex.
does this conversation need to be secret? We could ask them if they have tools that we could use.
If we're sneaking in, actually, I think that snake guy might be a better asset than we thought.
One other thing.
That's
you-
my point. Might not be secret if we're taking it in, tagging along.
We need not talk over each other.
I mean, okay, ultimately this comes down between you and Razu on
I do want to
Time.
know why my grandpa is supposedly locked inside the obsidian heart. That seems kind of odd for a benevolent god.
but also, I mean, I think trapping a fundamental force of the universe is also not a good sign either.
You're talking about the fire elemental in me?
No, I'm talking about the Gravekeeper.
All the major gods sealed the great.
Both is the answer. Both is the answer.
But it also doesn't seem like all of them were 100% okay with it. Some of them seem to have agreed out of necessity.
The end justifies the means.
The truth is
Maybe
there's a
under
lot of
duress?
answers that we'll need on the Cinder Isle, and I think that unfortunately the only way that we're gonna get there with this key thing, cube dice thing,
Don't say cube, that's
is
confusing.
by smuggling it. However,
And ourselves as well.
I also don't think that you give me enough credit. I don't think we need rickshaw. I can get us there.
I never said we needed
I
rickshaw.
agree
You
with
can
that
get
point.
Tiku there. Tiku's
My-
not.
My point is,
stealthy.
if Seth sent him and Seth sent us to the mountain, maybe Seth knows something.
While Zephyr was running the good part of the city, I learned how to run the not so good part of the city.
What if Seth told Rickshaw something that will help us get to the mountain?
We're gonna have to bring him in. We're
Maybe
bringing him
that's
in.
why
We
he's
decided
here.
that, yeah? We can bring them in, yeah? Plus, food is almost done.
Right now, we're deciding where we want to go next.
Cinder
I think we need to go to
decided that.
Zapocar first, and then that'll take a week or two. We can decide from there, but my vote is that I need to get to the Cinder Isle.
Is the part of Cinder Isle we need to go to, is that north of Zapocar or south?
Oh,
So
maybe we could get a one-time teleport item from the king.
it's definitely it's like south
We're not talking to the
east.
king.
It'd be southeast.
Not the king.
If you want to walk over here, and again, I'll post this on stream. I can show you it on the actual world map.
I mean,
I've seen it. I know where it is. I remember Harem's map. So if
oh, shit.
maybe
I really
Dalaran can give us like a
this is
one-time
Zapocar?
teleport to back to Zapocar, like some kind of
Yeah, that's what I said,
item
it's like a 2-week
that
travel.
maybe after we finish to make sure we're back for time for games, then we
Except-
do our Cinder Isle
how do
thing
we
and then
do
push.
How do we do that without him knowing where we're going?
We don't tell him where we're going to say, hey, we need to go on the quest before we go to the games. We know you are our representative. Do you have a way we can quickly get back? We have another thing we gotta do first.
I mean, until he asks you what that thing is.
We tell him we're going to help your grandpa. Boom! Tickle brilliant. And Drew.
So the plan is to go to Zapocar then.
I suppose
We're gonna go to his
that's
village
okay.
first for him to like check up on people, but then yeah.
Oh wait, rickshaw dude. Dinner or lunch is ready. Also, you're welcome to come back. We need your rice input.
Oh.
Am I capable of coming as well?
Oh, I'm always
Yes, King Man.
willing to help, and I have put myself in harm's way for the good of the party, and I'm willing to do so again. I just told our friend here, Kane, some of the exploits I have experienced.
Some of the very outlandish and not expanded upon at all exploits.
Yes, they were all very true. By the way, Tiku,
Yep.
you seem very interested in gods and deities, religion.
Actually, I'm more interested in killing them now.
Really? Oh, that's great. Perhaps, have you heard of Nature's Children? Here, I'll give you a copy. This is the Book of Reclamation, and here are teachings of the prophets of the true gods.
I
get
feel
pictures.
like you're like one of those salesmen that came to my dad's store as a child,
I opened it. Is there
That doesn't
pictures?
happen. There's not pictures.
and they're just like, yeah.
Fascinating. Tiku
No
cannot
people.
read.
Oh.
It's not ready.
So I can mow your lawn? I don't have a lawn.
So.
There's no salesman in this. That's not a thing. If there were door-to-door sales, it'd be like people from bakeries offering food. None of that. On that note, as
have you
as
signed up for dragon
conversations,
insurance?
Oh no.
as plans are finalized and you guys enjoy what is Tiku's fine cooking, that is where we're going to end for tonight. You guys do level up. You have circumnavigated.
Oh,
the,
Tiku level
I have
7.
all my powers back.
you have and then some.
Tico's laptop is dead.
Yeah, so for us, I apologize for all the insane difficulties and problems we ran into. They're currently level 11, Jasmine, to answer your question.
And we'll be posting the unmessed up footage tomorrow on YouTube. So
Yeah, if you missed anything and you want to rewatch it, Tree records everything straight through here. So even though there was internet problems, the full thing will actually still properly be on YouTube. But yeah, with that, we will be back next week. And yeah, thank you for everyone who tuned in, and I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful night. Goodbye.